This is the Big O Show. 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 This is...
Welton Rayom has more than 62 years of litigation experience handling insurance disputes. They're committed to resolving even the toughest insurance claims quickly. Call them for a free consultation. 954-966-4646. At Welton Rayom, they don't get paid unless you win. Property damage claims to your home, business, or condo as a result of a hurricane. Welton Rayom can help. Water, mold, fire, smoke damage, Welton Rayom can help. Call 954-966-4646.
There's no need to drive around South Florida wasting valuable time looking for a new or certified pre-owned Acura. Go to the #1 volume sales dealership in the Southeast United States. Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. Purchase with pace and space in a dealership tailored to your needs. From home buying to providing that personal touch. Contact the 2020 Satisfaction Award winner Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. 888-776-5123. That's 888-776-5123. Or visit them at 15601 Pines Boulevard in Pembroke Pines.
Oh, I think I know what this is. Houston, we have a package. Hello?
No matter where you are, the Sloman Shield home security system guards your home. With next-gen perimeter protection, 24/7 monitoring, and interior motion sensing. And right now, get a free Sloman Shield security system and doorbell camera, all professionally installed, for free.
Shield your world, the Sloman Shield.
If you're a Miami sports fan, then there's only one store to go to, and that's Caneswear at Miami Fanwear in Davie. They're your one-stop shop for all your inner Miami CF, Canes, Dolphins, Panthers, and Marlins merchandise. They have hats, t-shirts, game day jerseys, and so much more. Located at 2511 South University Drive in Davie, and open 24/7 online at caneswear.com or innermiamiwear.com. Call them at 954-835-5597. Caneswear, the spot where inner Miami and all Miami sports fans shop.
When you move, you need a reliable company led by passionate folks, eager to assist its customers during a transitional process that needs to be smooth. Call Essential Moving Experts at 844-368-5750 for all your local and long-distance moving needs. You can rely on Essential Moving Experts. Mention the Big O Show and get $150 off. Family owned and operated, they offer free 30-day storage, full-service moving, fully licensed, bonded, and insured. Moving was never so easy. EssentialMovingExperts.com.
For over 16 years, EJDconstruction.com has provided South Florida residents quality craftsmanship, accurate project management, and exceptional service. That's why EJDconstruction.com is an A-rated member of Angie's List and the Better Business Bureau. When you're looking for the right custom home builder for additions or home remodeling, please call my friend Eric at 305-433-4843. That's 305-433-4843 for EJDconstruction.com.
Welcome to Red Light Therapy, a revolutionary technology perfected by NASA to aid in muscle strengthening and recovery. Red and infrared light has the capacity to penetrate deep into the cell's mitochondria, potentially leading to increased energy, faster recovery, and the optimal performance your body demands. Train, fight, recover.
Statements or beliefs expressed on the following program by the host, guests, or callers are not necessarily the opinions of FantasyAccess.com, Media Group Inc., ownership, management, sponsors, or website. When it comes to South Florida sports teams, very few in the media have witnessed, lived, and covered it like the Big O. Let's start the program dedicated to your favorite South Florida teams with a passion that's unmatched. The Big O Radio Show is on. Here's the Big O.
All righty. Good morning. Whatever it is. Well, it's a good one, right? We're up. We're alive. We're ready to rock and roll for another day. So I got to say, that's the blessing. It's not a blessing to be a Dolphins fan. It's a freaking curse. Oh, Lordy. Lordy, Lordy, Lordy. Oh, man. It is, it's tough. It's tough. I get it. It's not one of those things that's easy for any of us out there, but hang in there. Hang in there. We got some stuff to talk about. We got Ira Winderman joining us at 10:30. I got Alan Poupart at 11:30. We got Andy Behrens at noon. So those of you that are, if you won your Super Bowl or lost your Super Bowl this week, congratulations to those that won. Congratulations to those that got there. But those that are actually having a Super Bowl this week, it's crazy. It's ridiculous. But good luck to you. Andy will get you ready for your Super Bowl this week at noon. So it's all good. And we should have some fun there. I was just shocked with some news there that on the music side, not big for you guys, just something for me personally. But I'll talk about it later on the show. I'm actually seeing if I can plan a trip just to go see someone, actually, to go see a band, because it's the final go. So we'll get into that. I got a bunch of things to talk about. Obviously, we got the Bills and the Bengals tonight, so we're actually treated to a really good Monday Night Football game. Got the Heat and the Clippers, a late night game at 10:30. That sucks, but I hate those games, man. You know what I mean? I get to sleep in a little bit more, so I don't have to do the really early mornings, but it's still, and the good thing is I'm still in studio tomorrow. But, when you got to go on the road, then you wake up a little earlier and those kind of things, and that just kind of like drags you down. But Heat and Clippers tonight, as they're a game over 500. Clippers, by the way, are favored by 4. Panthers lost again last night to the Rangers, 5-3. They're 7. Wait a minute, but isn't Barkov back? Anyway, I mean, they've been bad with or without Barkov. It doesn't matter. It's just funny when I hear like, well, Barkov's going to be back. Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, he got the hat trick. Wow, okay. 7-15 in their last 22 games. the Paul Maurice experiment has been an absolute failure right now. I mean, it looks like a terrible hire. Maybe they'll figure things out, but wow, dude. You're already, what is it? Let's see, 38 games into the season. You're pretty much halfway through the season, and you're 16, 18, and 4. And you're not on pace to make the playoffs right now. I mean, that's really, really bad. Tuesday, they take on Arizona. Just a tough one there. So that's some of the stuff that's going on locally. That's why we really needed the Dolphins, and where the season started to where it's at now, it's so Dolphins, unfortunately, right? That's the thing about all of this. And a lot of you have never been out of that rut. And I was trying to tell you, stop thinking about the past, stop living in the past. And here's the past all over again. I want to get out of it, and I got to tell you, man, it's torture. It's torture because, most seasons I don't believe in the Dolphins. Most seasons I've never really looked at them like anything serious. And then this season I thought, man, this is it, man. Finally, they're going to do it. And Tua's playing well. And then what plagued them in Alabama continues to plague them in the NFL. And, that's just unfortunate, man. It's the part that sucks. And you got a guy that can play, but a guy that can't stay healthy. And, it's just rough. It sucks. It sucks. And yesterday, I actually even had like a little faith that they not that they could make anything in the playoffs, anyways. But I had some faith. But then when I saw that Armstead was out, I was like, wow, that really took the wind out of my sails. I didn't really care that much about X or Bradley Chubb missing. That was weird. That was weird because those are two really good players, but they're not playing really good for the Dolphins. They're very mediocre. You know what I mean? So, but Armstead was so important. And then the strange part that yesterday you lost for all kinds of reasons that had nothing to do with the left tackle. Even Kendall Lamb got injured in that game because, of course, typical of the Dolphins this year, they have no luck whatsoever. That's the other thing that I hated about this season. I really hated all the injuries. It's not just the Tua injuries. They didn't get a damn break in anything, man. Every damn game, they're losing people, and it was just brutal. And to think that they've lost all these people, they've had all these issues at quarterback with the injuries or poor play, and yet they're still alive for the playoffs this week. It's weird. You know what I mean? And for me, I'm already gutted. I'm gutted going into week 18. I'm gutted. I'm done. I have no more, fake emotions for you now. That I can't do that. I'm not that guy. I've never been that guy. I was actually talking to a friend of mine yesterday about that. Oh, come on, man. They still got a shot. I'm like, yeah, but that's not me. I don't lie to myself. And I think that's kind of what you're doing this week. Oh, well, if you beat the Jets and the Bills, what is it? Beat the, what is it? And the Pats either lose or tie to Buffalo, which is, of course, they're probably going to lose. Buffalo has to win. I don't know if you know this, but Buffalo has to win today against the Bengals, right? And then they'll get their 13th win, which will tie them with Kansas City. But they've got to win next week because if Kansas City wins and they lose, then Kansas City will have the number 1 seed in the bye week and Buffalo will not. So Buffalo has to play for the bye week. So it really sets up for Miami to make it, but the wind is out of my sails because this team is so bad and it's poorly coached. I got to say it. Mike McDaniel still has the training wheels on him. There was a lot of flash and it was fun, and he's got a terrific mind for offense. You can see it, but he's not a good coach yet. And unfortunately, that's just, that's the way it goes. It's sometimes you get players that find their groove right away, and sometimes you get players that it takes them a couple of years to kind of figure it out. You get coaches that maybe they start coaching well right away, and some kind of have to figure things out and get better along the way. And looks like McDaniel is the latter because he's not a good coach. He's got a good offensive mind. He's not a good head coach yet. He's got a lot of holes in his game. And so this is part of trying to figure him out too. So you're poorly coached. You're so injury riddled at this point. Your backup quarterbacks are just not good enough, and I'm not going to put anything on Skyler. That's for you fans out there that got all lost in the whole Skyler hype in the preseason, and you take it like it means something, and it doesn't mean anything. It just means that you have some talent, and so now maybe we can work with you to see if we can polish up that talent. But it doesn't mean you've arrived at all, and Skyler is far from it, and he shouldn't be. He shouldn't. Those expectations shouldn't be put on the kid. He's a 7th-round pick. Let's just call it like we see it. The good thing for Skyler, by the way, is that he's gotten some playing time, and he's going to get another full week of preparation this week. So that's good. But I don't have it in me anymore. You know what I mean? And what I was hoping for this year was that this Dolphins team was actually going to be different. They were actually going to be one of the higher seeds in the playoffs, because I'm going to stay consistent. I've always been consistent with you guys. And I've said this over the last couple of years, because it's kind of something that I've inherited the last couple of years. Those teams at the back end of the playoffs, they don't mean anything anymore. They really don't even deserve to be in the playoffs. The 6 and the 7 seeds don't deserve to be in the playoffs. They're just doing it in the NFL for money. They're doing it so they can create more interest in the league. They're doing it so they can sucker more fans to staying into the game and paying money for the games, to watch them, to attend them, to buy shirts, hats, all that stuff. It's genius. But in the end, those teams really rarely nowadays are really going to make an impact and go all the way. There are examples in the past of wild card teams, but it's rare nowadays. Those teams, because of the parity in the league and the way things are, by the time you get to the playoffs, the back end of the playoff teams they're mediocre too. And that's what the Dolphins are. So if they happen to sneak in that 7th spot this next week, they're nothing. They're not going to do shit in the playoffs. So it's hard for me. I mean, at this point, if you're going to try to talk yourself up to something that's unrealistic, remember what I tell you all the time, that sometimes we put unrealistic expectations on people or teams, and then when they don't meet our unrealistic expectations, we're mad at them. And that's what's gone on with the defense. Some of you have expectations. I have none. None. And since I have none, guess what? Because they keep you in games, I'm amazed. Because you have incredible expectations. You think they suck, and they should be way better when they're playing with Keanu Crossan. Come on, man. Give me a break. So this is why I'm done. I'm not here to blow smoke up your ass and try to talk you into something that's not going to happen. This team is not good. That's all. It's not the team we were watching earlier in the season. They're not playing with the same kind of confidence, and they're not playing with the quarterback, which is the most important part, as you can see now, right? Because That's the other thing that I think we kind of put to bed already, right? What happened to all the Skylar Thompson? He's the real starter on the Dolphins. What happened to Teddy Bridgewater is going to take the job from Tua Tagovailoa. The only reason those guys are ever going to play, it's because Tua gets injured, not because they could ever even come close to being the passer that he is. So you see the incredible drop-off. And then don't be disappointed in Skylar. If you're disappointed in Skylar, that's your fault. You put expectations on Skylar that he does not deserve. If you're disappointed in Teddy Bridgewater, that's your fault. Not mine. That's your fault. You have unrealistic expectations about Teddy Bridgewater, who's just a guy. Fantastic human being. As a quarterback, he's a jag. He's always been a jag. He's never been anything but a jag. But he's from Miami, just like the white kid in New York. Same thing. Oh, Mike White. Oh, Mike White. Oh, Mike White. Mike White ain't shit, bro. He's just a jag. But again, he's from Miami. So, we just get into this stupid shit with, oh my God, and the other one, Lamar Jackson, another guy that can't pass, can't hit the ocean if he's standing in front of it. And you got idiots that want to actually make a move for Lamar Jackson and change the entire offense. A guy that pees in his pants every single time he has to face a real quarterback on the other side. Because then when he has to actually use his arm on a consistent basis, he shits his pants. So stop putting unrealistic expectations on things that really aren't that good. That's all. Now, turning that around, those of you that didn't have expectations for the Dolphins, you were right. Those of us that had better expectations for them, we're wrong. We put unrealistic expectations on a rookie coach. The team, all the injuries that none of us can control any of that shit. But, what are you going to do? But it's rough, man. This is just, it's just one of those where, it's just one of those where we got to really, really get it going, and figure this stuff out. But it's rough, man. It's a tough one. It's a tough one. Life right now in Dolphin land is just normal. Unfortunately, we thought maybe this year it would not be normal. It would be something completely to the norm, and they were actually going to get back to being a good and respectable franchise. And anything and everything that could go wrong for the Miami Dolphins has gone wrong for the Miami Dolphins. And that's the sad part about it, man. So, it's it is what it is. John B says, Big O, why is everyone quick to throw Boyer under the bus, but not willing to throw Greer? Greer signing these players with little depth. Oh, they had depth. It's just everything's gone to crap, dude. Defense was awesome when healthy, and this team isn't this year. They had the depth. It's how much more depth do you want? You go from X to Byron, but then you have Cater, you have Needham, you have Trill Williams. I mean, that's a lot of depth already at corner. That's the problem, that they went through the depth. And then that creates a real problem. Like, you have your quarterback, but then you go to your backup, and then you have to go to your third. And it's how many more quarterbacks? You know what I mean? It just gets, and look, you lose your right tackle, but they still found Brandon Shell. And they had Robert Jones. That's depth. So they do have depth, but when you get to your third guy, it just gets to a ridiculous point. You know what I mean? Listen, everybody's going to get thrown under the bus now. Okay? Chris Greer is going to get thrown under the bus. Mike McDaniel's going to get thrown under the bus. Tua Tagovailoa is going to get thrown under the bus. And Stephen Ross is going to get thrown under the bus. They're 8-8, bro. They were 8-3. Nobody is safe now. That's the reality. Unfortunately, I may be a Greer guy. I may be a Tua guy and everything. I believe in Tua as the player. Always have. But that doesn't mean anything. I like Mike McDaniel too, by the way, from what I've seen. Now, does he have some holes in his game? Yeah. Does he have to grow? Yeah. Do I want to fire him? No. Hell no. But anything and everything that could go wrong went wrong this year, including the owner screwing his own team by losing a first and a third and doing his own stupidity too on top of all of that. No one is safe. No one is above criticism. No one did a great job. No one did a good job. Well, I got to say Tua did a good job. I know Tua did a great job. Tua unfortunately can't stay healthy. That's his problem. And because of that, he's unreliable. Not as a person, not as a player, but his body is unreliable, unfortunately. So the bottom line is no one is above criticism. No one is above any kind of, critique that you're like, oh, they did their job and everybody else failed. And no, everybody failed here. Everybody failed. What are they going to do? I have no idea. Stephen Ross is as unpredictable as it gets. So I really have zero clue what's going to go on in that building, what decisions are going to be made, who they're going to fire, who they're going to hire, who they're going to trade, who they're going to cut. I have no idea. Right now, this is just one of those things that you just can't, you can't put a finger on. You just have to lay blame all over the place. And that's it. And I don't know how they fix it because in the end, it's really simple to just fire everybody and then bring in new, and that has not worked either. And you keep doing this over and over again. And I know, and we're going to go through all the unrealistic stuff. Brady, he ain't coming here. He's not coming here. This place is not stable enough right now for him to come here. So he's going to go to a coach. And by the way, Mike McDaniel also screwed himself by not being a good coach down the stretch, unfortunately, by being a rookie coach, because that's what he is. By being a rookie coach, a veteran like Aaron Rodgers and a veteran like Tom Brady, plus Miami, first of all, Miami doesn't have any draft capital to really move for Aaron Rodgers or Sean Payton. Okay, those people are under contract. Brady will be an outright free agent, but he's going to want the coach and he's going to want power and say and all that kind of stuff. And so that would cloud the situation here. And really the Brady thing, I don't know if I would want that is a risk now at this point, at this age. I don't know about that one. That one is, but I get it. Everybody's going to be talking about all kinds of options, and you should. Some will be realistic, and some, some I just mentioned, were going to be really unrealistic overall. But yeah, it's bad, and there's really no way of getting around it. Unfortunately, there's nothing to defend, and it's just a matter of let's see what happens now this offseason. Maybe Ross can legally plan a secret meeting and collude with players on his boat. Nah, that's a horrible idea. Greer's gotten good players overall, a few mistakes here and there, but overall he's doing a good job. It's just, brother, it just hasn't turned out well for Greer right now. And, as much as I like Greer, he's made a whole bunch of really good decisions, and then some that, maybe the Chubb one looks great next year because he plays well. It doesn't look good right now. That there's no other way around it. Can't do anything about that. And look, the Teron Armstead one, he's played pretty much the entire season. You needed him yesterday, and he wasn't there. Now, in a strange and twisted way, left tackle had nothing to do why you lost yesterday. Like zero. Like at no point did the left tackle cost you anything in that game. How weird is that? No matter who played left tackle, like the line, considering everything, they did a serviceable job yesterday, man. They did fine. They did enough for you to win. Like I tell you about the defense every week, same thing. Offensive line didn't cost you the job yesterday, didn't cost you the win yesterday. Had nothing to do with them. They were fine. That's how weird that was. It just, oh man, what can I tell you? I'm pretty much speechless at this point. It's so many years of this, so many years of disappointment, year in and year out. Man, it is absolutely brutal, dude. Really brutal, really tough. By the way, Cutter's Edge Pro, we love talking about Will and Mike, great people. When you talk about Cutter's Edge Pro, they are your total landscape solution. They do everything: lawn, landscape, maintenance for medium to large HOAs, condominiums, corporate parks, large commercial building complexes in Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach counties. So if you own a home or a business or a condominium complex and you're looking to take it to the next level, and maybe your landscaping is down and maybe it's not looking good, or maybe you don't have any, and you want to really dress it up, make that business look great, make that home, take it to the next level. By the way, it also increases the value of your business and your home. Or maybe your condominium complex is not, the current company you're using is not doing a good job. Call the real pros. CuttersEdgePro.com. Ask for William or Mike. Tell them that Big O sent you. 954-472-0622. Dade, Broward, or Palm Beach counties. We're talking about a South Florida company. Sometimes we tell you about companies that are nationwide. Sometimes we'll tell you about companies that are locally. So I want to make sure I explain it. Go to their Instagram page, Cutter's Edge Pro. Check out all the work that they do, the before and afters. They will blow you away. Actually, my house is there with the beautiful tree that they put in the front. You got to see that palm tree. That thing is absolutely awesome. Landscape, lighting, pathways, they do it all. Artificial turf. If you have dogs like I do, artificial turf is a blessing. They bring no dirt, no blood, no nothing into the house. It is awesome and easy to maintain, and it'll save you hundreds and thousands in the long run, because you're no longer watering the lawn every day. You're no longer cutting the grass every, 10, 14 days in South Florida. It is crazy. CuttersEdgePro.com. 954-472-0622. Call William and Mike and tell them that Big O sent you, baby. All right. What else we got going on? We got Bills and Bengals tonight. Bills favored by 1.5. The over and under is 50. Bills minus 120. Bengals plus 100. Heat, after their win the other night. And by the way, I got to say, in that win the other night, Tyler Hero, didn't start off well and then finished strong, 29 points. Strus added 13. Bam, man. Bam continues his assault with 32. Even Depot had 23 off the bench. So that was cool that they won. And you got to take care of business against Utah. Come on, man. So they've got the Clippers tonight. Clippers are favored by 4. The over and unders 220. Heat plus 155. Clippers minus 180 on the money line. So obviously the Clippers are favored in this game. And he got to start getting on some kind of a roll here. But some of the young guys are, really, and Ira's coming up, but really proud of the way Bam and Tyler are trending now, and they're becoming franchise players. You know what I mean? Not there yet, but they're becoming, because once you start seeing Bam with that kind of point total, remember what I told you. All I need to see from Bam is I need him to be able to impose his offensive will. Okay? In the 90s, he would have already been a franchise player with his defense. But in today's game, yeah, it's great you play defense, but you've got to be a force on offense, and he's becoming a force. Really proud of seeing the way Bam has turned it around. Juice F5, thank you for the super chat. Tua's health is not promised. Trade Tyreek and others for picks while value is high in order to position to acquire another QB via draft. Juice F5, you can't do that. You're going to let go of Byron Jones. You're going to take a monster cap hit. You just paid Tyreek a whole bunch. You guys have to understand the business side of all of this. You know, sports has changed because of salary caps and all those things, and we have to learn about those things. And because of the signing bonus you gave Tyreek, that would accelerate. And remember, when you sign somebody like this, their first year, you manipulate the money and you make a really small salary. So if I look it up, I bet you Tyreek made $5, $6, $7 million this year, which is a joke. And the next year it jumps to 20 something. And you will then accelerate all that money into the cap. You cannot do that, Juice F5. You cannot. You won't be able to field the team. It will really hurt you. So you have to work your way around this. You have to figure out other ways, and there are other ways to do it. Yeah, it also helps if your owner isn't an idiot giving away first and a third rounder. That's the draft capital you needed right now. Suds, thank you for the super chat. Big O, you mentioned the Hooker kid being injured. Is he injury prone? No, he's not. This is the one injury he has, because that wouldn't make sense to draft, or was it just a one-time deal? One-time deal. I don't know much about him and the highlights. By the way, if he's injury prone, we love him, because that's what we kind of do down here in Miami. Leon Fresco, thank you for the love on the super chat. Reason I'm depressed is 75% of Finn's cap money is tied to complete stiffs. This Byron Jones and Will Fuller saga probably be 5 players in 2023. Yeah, that one is bad. All right, let's get to Ira Winderman. Let's talk a little basketball with our Acura Pembroke Pines Miami Heat and NBA report.
Heat fans, time for the best insight of your favorite team with insider Ira Winderman, exclusively on the Big O Radio Show. It's the Acura of Pembroke Pines Miami Heat and NBA report. Here's Ira Winderman.
There he is, locked and loaded. How you feeling, Ira? Happy New Year, my friend.
Happy New Year to you and everyone out there. Right behind me is what used to be Staples Center, now Crypto.com Arena. Heat play tonight. Clippers 10:30, Lakers Wednesday 10 p.m. And Big O, if after the way the fall started, if amid the expectations for our South Florida team, I would have told you on January 2nd, only one South Florida pro sports team has a winning record. Is there honestly any chance you would have said it would have been the Miami Heat?
Yeah, the Miami Heat, yeah.
Only one.
Yeah,
I'm saying just if I told you there was only one.
Remember,
based on the expectations of the Panthers, based on how the Dolphins started.
I get you now. Yes, okay, I got you.
Crazy.
Because remember, we started with hopes with the Heat, and then it's gone downhill, kind of like the Panthers. We started with hopes with the Panthers that they would, this tweak, with this defensive tweak, would add what they need with their offensive prowess, and then we've gone downhill. You know what I mean? And so now both Heat and Panthers Panthers are still going downhill. Heat are trying to climb out of it. I don't know what the hell. I don't know what the hell's going on with the Panthers.
It's crazy. I have been checking in every Monday in our Acura Pembroke Pines reports for months, and you kept telling me, Ira, when are the Heat going to be like the Dolphins? When are they going to get it going? When are they going to give us another winning team? It really is insane, and there are so many players on the Heat who are Dolphins fans, who want them to succeed and thrive as well. Of course, we know about UD and the passion he has. Yes, and the one thing I tweeted out last night, just because I find it literally mind-blowing, is that Brian Flores might make the playoffs and the Dolphins might not. Who the hell saw that coming?
Yeah, especially the way the Steelers started. They got better. Pickett got better as the years gone on, and he's had a couple of concussions Also, really nice play at the end
And
of
that
that
Minka
game.
Fitzpatrick guy looks pretty good also.
Well, I mean, but that was Brian Flores that got
No,
him traded.
I know that, but I'm saying the Dolphins
That's how screwed up it is that they both end up on the same team after
right,
that.
and the Dolphins hitched their wagons to Xavier Howard, who is a great player when healthy, but is not healthy, and that makes all the difference. The lesson learned in South Florida is this, is that I know it's the cliche, and you and I mentioned in our Acura Pembroke Pines reports twice a week, but there's no ability like availability. You have to be present. It has hurt the Heat with Jimmy Butler missing the 13 games. It has killed the Dolphins with their injuries. It is an Ekblad annual thing with the Panthers. That's the thing. You have to be there on Sundays and with the other leagues, Monday through Friday and Saturday and Sunday. So the whole lament about injuries, you know what? I know we talk about freak injuries. I know we talk about, well, Tua, concussion, it's a violent sport. But yet, Big O, how come there's a subset of players who don't get injured and a subset of players who do? So I think it's more than a randomness also. It's taking care of your body. You've heard stories about Dolphins players who didn't have the right nutrition. Wasn't Devontae Parker with his cramping, and then he finally said, yeah, maybe I should eat better. So I think that's a factor too. So I think that what we're seeing right now, if you're available, you are by nature a better player.
Yeah, only Michael Jordan can live on McDonald's, cigars, and whiskey and still score 45 on your head and hit the game winner.
And only Big O until a surgery could do the same thing 5 mornings a week. But hey, we all get older and change.
Yes, exactly. No, you are correct. I was talking about it before you came on. 29 points by Bam the other night. Once again, really love the way it's trending for him. It just seems like he is starting to develop an aggressive offensive nature.
Yeah, it's really interesting. And it's something we'll discuss more on Wednesday on our redrecover.com Inside the Paint with you on our Acura Pembroke Pines report on Friday. It's all well and good what Tyler and Bam have done, and it's been fantastic.
Yeah.
But when this team is whole, there's decisions to be made. And I even wrote about this in my Ask Ira at sunsentinel.com this morning. Who's the Heat's closer? Are the Heat ready to tell Jimmy Butler, give up the ball because this Tyler guy is money in the bank? Who gets the shots at the end? Is it
what kind of shot? What kind of shot do you need?
Yes, I understand a 1-point game, Jimmy gets to the foul line. It's a different situation. But what I'm saying is some of Bam's and Tyler's best games have come with Jimmy out. So you have pointed this out for really months now, that there's a bright future, that there's the Bam and Tyler future coming. It's out there. It's in the ether. It's coming down the road. When does that transition come? Look, Big O, I still need to see this team with their 5 main starters together to see if it works. Because I got to tell you, when they've had their primary lineup of Bam and Caleb Martin and Jimmy and Tyler Hero and Kyle Lowry, just 12 games this season, they're 5-7 in those 12. So maybe Eric Spoelstra needs to tweak a little and say, you know what? What I thought might have worked, I might need to move in a different direction. And like you've pointed out, more Bam seems to be making them more successful because you can't just live on a purely perimeter diet, which is almost the analogy with the Dolphins. You can't purely live on a passing game. You have to have inside-outside balance. We're seeing it on both teams.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And listen, I think, hey, man, if Bam and Tyler go play all the games, then guess what? They got to start being the anchors of the team. And listen, Butler has always proven to be a complimentary superstar.
Yes.
A guy that could go in and he has less ego about having to get all the points and all that. I think Jimmy's smart enough to understand that by using the young guys, it'll make his life easier, and it's a bridge for him to extend his career, actually, instead of being the guy that has to carry the burden, which is surely going to shorten your career as it's doing now because you got to miss half the season so far that you're playing. So if intelligence sets in for Jimmy, he uses these guys to his benefit. It's really not a detriment.
Yes, and it's sort of like what you said when the contract came out, and you're famous or notorious when it comes out to giving big money and long-term deals to guys and having them bust at the end. And you said Jimmy Butler's great for the Heat now, but you're paying him when he's 38 years old. Well, this is the way to make the money work. This is a way for you to make the money work insofar as that you can get a good Jimmy Butler for those last couple of years, when hopefully you're getting a great Tyler Hero and a great Bam Adebayo. So maybe Pat Riley is the genius all over again. And he saw this possibility because you put the money aside for a second, and you're right. Jimmy Butler has always adjusted to the talent around him. He might not have loved when he was playing with Tobias Harris and Joel Embiid and what happened in Philly, but he made it work except for one Kawhi Leonard shot. Same thing in Chicago. He made the adjustments also. So maybe we're starting to see the transition to next-gen Heat. And you might be right. And Jimmy Butler, as an elder statesman at 37 and 38, still might be able to do enough to help make Bam and Tyler and the Heat even better.
The progress of Oladipo. I'm seeing a lot of minutes played, and that in itself, I think, is a real positive for Victor.
Two factors here. Yes and no. Yes, when he plays, he's playing more minutes, but he still didn't play both ends of the back-to-back in Denver and Utah, sat out Denver. So there's still one more step he has to take if he can take that. But I got to tell you, I posted a feature on Victor Oladipo this morning at sunsentinel.com. I know Anthony Chang did it at the Miami Herald also. And yet, as much as we create expectation, I still think we need to temper for this reason. It has to be more consistent. It has to be that. In other words, I don't think either of you or I can say on today's Acura Pembroke Pines report, Victor Oladipo is back. He's trending toward Victor Oladipo. He's trending toward Victor Oladipo, and he's trending toward a different Victor Oladipo at sixth man. Very interesting. Even with Jimmy out on Saturday, they did not start Victor. They started Max Strus instead. They wanted to get Victor comfortable in the sixth-man role. Now, can Victor, who's given up millions of dollars in contracts, thinking he can get more, except being a sixth man the rest of his contract? Because you know what? He's 30 years old right now, Big O. This is his future. We will see going forward how accepting he is, or does some team come in the offseason with a contract offer and a promise of starting, and that seduces Victor. So Victor has to settle into this new role. It's a difficult transition for a former All-Star, but I think it's a role very suited to where Victor Oladipo is right now.
Now, let's use common sense, and I hope he uses common sense. He's miles and miles away from even thinking about that stage. What he needs to do first is what he's doing now, building up that body so he can become reliable, because he's kind of in that Tua Tagovailoa zone that, yeah, dude, you can play, but you're unreliable. You can't stay healthy. And so that's why I'm telling you he's trending. I like where he's trending, because every time I see it, he's playing 30 plus minutes. And if I see 30 plus minutes on that body, that already in itself is an enormous progress for him from where he's been in recent years. He hasn't been able to put back-to-back nights where his body's out there for 30 minutes a game. So for me, that's impressive. Yeah, we got to get to the back-to-backs. We got to get to the point where maybe he's a little bit more effective offensively night in and night out and all that other stuff. But right now, at least when I'm looking at that box score and I'm seeing the amount of minutes he's playing, that's actually really good that he's built that way. Now, the other thing that I wanted to ask you is, does it look like Strus is getting out of his funk too now, right? Last couple games?
You know what? Three-point shooters are so streaky that every time I think so, because you could say the same thing about Duncan Robinson, who's hitting shots now. I needed
his
over.
Minutes are not as common
and I agree.
Strus plays a lot, you know what I'm saying?
And Strus plays second half. Duncan doesn't because of his defense. I need to see it over a full week. I can't just see a couple of games. I need to see consistently. What I need to see from guys like Strus or Robinson is this: the number three, not just for three-pointers. I need to see a consistent run where they've made at least three three-pointers in every game, because that gets the scouting report's attention. That gets defenders out on the perimeter, not double-teaming Bam or Jimmy or dropping in the lane against Tyler's drive. So I need to see a little bit more consistency. Big O, there have been too many times this season I've been ready to say Max Strus is back, Duncan Robinson is back. Give me a week. Give me consistency. But on the other hand, think about how hard this is for Max. He was projected to come into the season as the sixth man, had the starting lineup. He was going to play all the games. Max has started more than he's played as a reserve. So his role has fluctuated. Max has been a small forward, a power forward, a shooting guard. He's had all these roles. I praise him for being adjustable. Of course, in his position, you have to be. You do as is told. But I think when his role gets more consistent, and every time he gets on the court, he says, oh, I'm playing with these guys, Now he's playing with everyone. He's probably played with a variety of 9 or 10 players over the course of a week, every week. The Heat need to establish their starters. They need to establish a bench unit. Then I think continuity will grow out of that.
Is Caleb, do you think, I don't know, comfortable in the role he's played this year? Because, God, it's he's been, he's been the ultimate team player, I just got to say, because it's not something that I don't think that statistically it's something that's going to benefit him long term.
And yeah, well, first of all, what benefits him long term is he got a $20 million contract. So it's coming from a two-way contract. The way you phrase the question is interesting. Will Caleb benefit from it? Sure, he's starting. He's getting minutes. Life is good. Here's the real question, Big O. Will the Heat benefit from it? Will there reach a point where they're saying, you know what, this 6'6" power forward thing puts a hell of a burden on Bam Adebayo, hurts us maybe late in games when we don't have a rebounder? I still believe the Heat are searching for their future four. The money you gave Caleb Martin, 3 years, $20 million, is the perfect reserve salary in today's NBA. So they wrote a contract for him that makes it easy to slide him back into that 6th, 7th, 8th man role. Sure. The Heat are still looking for that power forward. The Heat are still looking for that stretch 5 or stretch 4 to play with Bam. Look, we spoke about Jay Crowder. Who knows? The longer he stays out, the more desperate Phoenix gets. Maybe it's just a buyout. I saw Kelly Olynyk on Saturday. I said, that guy worked really well with Bam Adebayo. When Eric Spoelstra spoke pregame, he said the same thing. He said, during the run to the 2020 NBA Finals, Bam and Kelly established something special. The Heat still thought it's better to take a chance on Victor Oladipo. They made the trade with the Rockets. So I still think the Heat are very much looking for all of their needs at a better long-term fit for. Could it be Jovic? Perhaps. He has back spasms now. Could it be a draft pick eventually? Perhaps, maybe. Could it be a veteran? That's the Pat Riley way. But I still think, as well as Caleb Martin is playing, that's sort of still the glaring hole in the big picture in the long view.
Yeah. And I don't want to put Jovic there. He's not ready for that. Don't put
not yet. Down the road.
Yeah, down there. Let his body fill out a little bit more.
Let him graduate high school. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. What do you think about tonight?
You know what? The Clippers can't score. The Heat can't score. This is going to be fun TV to stay up. Might put you to sleep. I mean, believe me, if I had a choice to watch Bills-Bengals, I might lean that way instead, but I'm not saying anything against my good friends at Bally Sports Sun. It's going to be a low-scoring game. It's going to be a slog. It's going to be a grind. If Jimmy Butler comes back, and there's no reason to believe he won't from his knee, that this is the kind of game where it really could be Jimmy versus Kawhi in clutch and crunch time for who can get those big baskets. I think it's going to be a grind. The Heat have played 25 clutch games, tight games in the last 5 minutes. I think tonight will become 26. That's what it is. They got the win they needed in Utah. They need to next get the win they need against the awful Lakers on Wednesday night. Then it comes to all or nothing on this trip, Friday in Phoenix without Devin Booker. There is still a path to the Heat for a 3-2 finish, a winning record when they go home for a more favorable home schedule. Tonight's a swing game. Tonight's the bonus, just like Denver was. You get tonight, it could be an even better trip. More important is getting the Lakers and maybe getting the Suns.
Yeah. Let's hope they can get a couple of victories on this road trip. All right, what do you got going on in the Sun Sentinel leading up to game time?
The Victor Oladipo feature story, like I told you about. I'm enjoying the moment. He's enjoying the moment. But there has to be more. What's the next step for Victor Oladipo? It could decide the second half of the season. And then I wrote in my Ask Ira, who's the closer for the Heat? And I mentioned what you did is that situational. If it's a 3 or a jumper we need or a quick transition basket, Tyler Hero's the guy. If it's a tie game and getting to the foul line or getting a better attempt inside, Jimmy Butler's the guy. It'll be interesting to see which numbers Spo calls. It'll be interesting to see which player actually gives up the ball at the end of a game. You know what? You can never have too much. The Heat have 2 potential closers, so it's sort of like they have their Waddle, their Tyreek Hill, but can they execute it? That's what we see next. And the other ongoing story, Big O, you've spoken about it. Can they get more out of Kyle Lowry? He was very not good in Denver. He was very meh. You know what? He didn't play the fourth quarter at all. Think about that in a clutch game. He was pulled with 2 minutes to go in the third. The swing vote right now is, can they get more out of Kyle Lowry? Or, never saw this coming in the second year of his 3-year deal. Does he become the salary in a trade before this year's trade deadline? There has to be more Kyle Lowry, and he knows it. And he knows there has to be more.
Well, I pray for a move. I mean, I've seen Riley trade worse contracts. So it's I would not be shocked.
It's a matter of finding a buyer. So usually when you're looking for a team looking to make a bad trade, usually you look at the Knicks, but they already have Jalen Brunson. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. But yeah, I never thought Kyle Lowry could be in the wind in his second season with the Heat. Now I'm not as sold that can't be a possibility.
It's crazy stuff, right? Follow him on Twitter at Ira Heapy. By the way, the Red Recover Inside the Paint show. You're on the West Coast. Is it a 1:00 show again this week?
I can't do one because I have Heat Shoot around that day at 11 my time, which will run right into it. We'll email back and forth. If I have to get up early, I'll have to call Anthony Chang's room in this hotel, get me a cafecito, and start it early. We'll negotiate that. But no matter what, there will be a full hour of Miami Heat with Curl Heelan, Ira Winderman, RedRecover.com, Inside the Paint Wednesday. And like they say, check your local listings.
Yes, exactly. So we'll see how what time do they do it out there in the West Coast. Follow him on Twitter at Ira Heatbeat, and of course subscribe and follow him there at the South Florida Sun Sentinel. Ira, thank you. Enjoy your week out there. Be safe, my friend.
Hey, the sun's up. I'm going back to bed. Thank you, Big O.
Yeah, Ira Winderman chiming in, baby, out in the West Coast. Oh, you got to love it. That is our Acura Pembroke Pines Miami Heat and NBA report.
You've been listening to the Acura of Pembroke Pines Miami Heat and NBA report with Ira Winderman. When you're looking for award-winning service and great deals from the #1 volume Acura sales dealership in the Southeast United States, you go to Craig's Inn Acura of Pembroke Pines at 15601 Pines Boulevard in Pembroke Pines.
All right, baby. Yes, sir. That is Ira Winderman. Well, we'll be focused on a lot of Heat basketball starting in a couple weeks. Oh, can Red Recover be used for a franchise? My Lord. And it's funny because Ed has season tickets to the Heat. So he's a monster Heat fan. Kind of like Will at Cutter's Edge. He's got also a set of season tickets to the Heat. And they're both religiously going to the games. They love the Heat. They also have season tickets for the Dolphins. They go to all the Dolphins games. And I'm sure that he's offered his Red Recover wraps for the entire Dolphin franchise. At this point, I'll try anything that could fix our Dolphins franchise. Anything. So, Too Extreme says, Big O, no one is getting fired. No person can control injuries from happening. It's the first season. It's a team that was healthy on both sides of the ball. We'd be a totally different and better team. Yeah, but you still got to keep Tua healthy, bro. And it's up to Tua if he wants to learn. You know what I'm saying? You can have all you want, but if Tua's not playing, this team isn't as good as it could possibly be. It's not going anywhere with the other quarterbacks. And I'm pretty sure we're done with that, right? We're done with all the Teddy Bridgewater and Skyler talk now, right? We're done with that, right? Okay. So that's the thing, too. I'm still concerned about Tua, man. That's always been my concern with him. That was always what scared the crap out of me with Tua, was his injuries. And unfortunately, I was hoping that I knew he could play, but I was hoping he could stay away from the injuries. And okay, well, maybe it was bad luck in Alabama. And then I figured out, remember, we figured out that it hasn't been bad luck, really. It's mostly that he puts himself constantly at risk by holding on to the ball, because all of his injuries come from holding on to the ball way too long. Most of the injuries, the only one that's happened on script was the rib injury. That's it. And that's because, your right tackle got flat out beat and he leveled the kid and he busted his ribs. And yet he still came back to play and would have come back a week earlier if Flo let him. Ribs and all, right? Didn't he? That's how he won the Baltimore game, right? It was the ribs that he was still recovering from in the end of broken finger. Teddy's out and Teddy's out with a broken finger, fractured finger. Tua played with a fractured finger. Anyway, and threw a 50-yard pass that he completed to Waddle, actually. Dougie Fresh says, "Oh, Teddy looked like the guy who still has the Christmas tree tied to the roof of his car when it's June. He looks so whatever." Yeah, but that's kind of who he's been. You know, the problem is that we have in this town, right, is that we have lazy football fans. And all of those people that thought Teddy could play and take over the starting job, those are all lazy football fans. Every single one of them. Do you know why I know that? Because they didn't watch actually Teddy. They just fall in love with the human being, which is easy to fall in love with because he's a great dude. That's all it was, Doug. That's it. The South Florida fan, all that, they weren't watching him at Minnesota all the time. That's the problem. And then the Carolina fans got a taste of it, and the Denver fans got a taste of it, and then they said, oh, okay, this guy's just a Jag. And then he comes here, and because he's the local kid, and that's why they get drunk on it. Not because they watched him. It's the same bullshit with Mike White. The same thing. Oh, he's from here. Oh. It's the same thing. Always happens. And it's like, be objective. Can the guy actually really play? Don't go rooting for him only because, just say, hey, I like Mike White because he's from here. That's it. But don't say, oh, no, Mike White's the guy. Yeah, no, he's going to become the guy there in New York. Miami should have gotten him. Oh, no, yeah, they brought Teddy in. Yeah, no, Tua's got no shot. Teddy's going to take his job. And I could, all those people, every single one of them, Doug, that's the hilarious part. I could tell those people really didn't watch Teddy. And as I explained it yesterday, what was on the postgame show, I gave you the team, one of the years of the team he had on the field, all the talent, offensive line, defense, everything, and his numbers were as pedestrian as it could possibly be. What was it, like 17 and 14 in touchdowns to interception ratio or something? Nothing. It was ridiculous. And that's the problem, you know. And now they see it. Now they've seen it a couple of times when he plays. And when you went to training camp and you watched it, you can tell, man. And, you know, and in training camp, you don't even really see it all because obviously they're not hitting. They're not really going all out. They can't. Tua is the guy. What I said yesterday is what needs to happen. Now the job for Chris Grier in the front office, okay? That's if, you know, McDaniel's coming back and Grier's coming back and Tua's coming back. I would imagine well, actually, I don't know about McDaniel or Grier, okay? I would imagine they're coming back, but I don't know I know Tua's going to come back for sure. Okay, but I don't know what this owner's thinking. He's a crazy dude. I don't mind bringing everybody back and giving them one more chance because this year was just crazy. But again, with Stephen Ross, I don't know what to predict with that crazy dude. Really, I don't. But what they have to do next year, okay, if you are coming back with Tua, which I think 100% chance he's coming back, you got to get somebody that's pretty damn good. You got to try to go a little overboard to bring another quarterback in that's pretty good. One that actually almost creates a real, not that bullshit controversy that you guys tried to start with Teddy Bridgewater, or even some of you with Skyler, which, you know, was pretty hilarious, but like a legitimate guy. Pretty boy Garoppolo, whatever. But you got to bring somebody that actually can really run the offense if something happens to Tua. Now, the question is, that kind of player will probably get a shot somewhere else to flat out start. because there's a lot of teams that just need an average to mediocre starter because not everybody has a franchise quarterback. So that's a real bitch for the Dolphins, the position that they're in. Yeah, it's tough, man. You know, it's tough. Zero Seth says, I don't care what anyone here says. I know Lamar's coming down. McDaniel loves Lamar. You'll see. Yeah. Okay, sure. And so is Deebo Samuel, right? Is that also Deebo Samuel is going to come too? After they signed Cedric, they drafted Waddle and traded for Tyreek. They were going to go get Deebo Samuel also. Okay. If you want Zero Seth, every Thursday I'm at Hialeah Park. You can bring some money down. I'd love to bet you that Lamar Jackson's not coming. Love to bet you. I'd love to take your money. But you got to bring the money. Okay? Not on your word. But bring the money if you want. Any of you want to bring the money to Hialeah Park on Thursday, please bring the money. I'd love to bet you that Lamar has no shot at coming here. But, whatever you guys want to fill yourselves up with, whatever. Ricardo Cuchican. Remember, folks, you can also make a donation through Cash App or Venmo at Cash Big O Show. That's Cash Big O Show. You can even donate Bitcoin, which we love Bitcoin donations. Ricardo, here we go. Hope is harmless, so I'm still flying Buenos Aires, Miami to assist the Jets game. Future is not so murky. Brandon Jones, X, Needham, Holland, Ogba, Trill Will, add a linebacker, great D with offense with a little touch on the O-line will be great. And really, the real hope is you got to hope that Tua can stay healthy. That's really the only hope you have. Because the guy that really stirs the drink is the guy that needs to stay healthy. So, that's the screwed up part about all of this. Can't do anything about that. Hialeah Park, by the way, where we'll be on Thursdays. We're there every Thursday. On the 24th of February, they are having boxing champion Guillermo Regondo. He will be there at Hialeah Park. Another Gran Noche de Boxeo Cubano going on. So we got the tickets. Go to hialeahpark.com to find out more. And we will be giving you the entire boxing card as we get closer. And we might have some giveaways for you, too, like we've had in the past. Joseph 5, thank you for the love on the super chat. He says, Miami has the Dolphins, the most injured football team. They get placed on the IR from goal to goal like no one's ever seen. They're in the trainer's room. They're on the table. They're getting lots of massages. They are the Miami Dolphins, and they're super mediocre because we are the mediocre Dolphins. Mediocre Dolphins. Mediocre Dolphins number 27. Yes, we're the mediocre Dolphins. Mediocre Dolphins. We got no first rounder because our owner's an idiot. No first and third rounder. Got to always mention the third rounder, too. Because, Stephen Ross and what was the other bozo's name? Thank God that bozo isn't taking over. What was that bozo's name? The one that's tight with Brady? And he's the reason why you lost a first rounder, probably. It's just, this guy was just stupid enough to go along with it. John Yang says, I mean, did you watch the game the last 3 years? Oh, I don't know. I guess you're talking to somebody else. Big O, it has to be Jimmy G. He knows the offense and can step right in without missing a beat. Maybe. Bruce Beal. That's it. That's the clown. Bruce Beal. Zachary says, I want to beat the Jets, not for the playoffs, just so we don't end up on a 6-game losing streak. And swept to the Jets. Yep. Can Mike McDaniel win a game against one of his former coworkers? Hour number 2 of the Big O Radio Show is next.
There's no need to drive around South Florida wasting valuable time looking for a new or certified pre-owned Acura. Go to the #1 volume sales dealership in the Southeast United States. Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. Purchase with pace and space in a dealership tailored to your needs. From home buying to providing that personal touch. Contact the 2020 Satisfaction Award winner Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. 888-776-5123. That's 888-776-5123. Or visit them at 15601 Pines Boulevard in Pembroke Pines.
Oh, great. You have a doorbell camera. Now you have a front row seat to your house getting robbed.
They're breaking into my house!
Ooh, there goes the TV. I'm sure it'll turn up at the pawn shop.
No, not the TV!
Just because you can see them, that doesn't mean you can stop them. With Slogans, you get 24-hour monitoring, a free home security system, and professional installation. Plus, free doorbell camera, one that'll actually work for you.
Get out of my house! Get out of the house!
Call 1-800-ALARM-ME.
When you move, you need a reliable company led by passionate folks, eager to assist its customers during a transitional process that needs to be smooth. Call Essential Moving Experts at 844-368-5750 for all your local and long-distance moving needs. You can rely on Essential Moving Experts. Mention the Big O Show and get $150 off. Family owned and operated, they offer free 30-day storage, full service moving, fully licensed, bonded, and insured. Moving was never so easy. EssentialMovingExperts.com.
For over 16 years, EJDConstruction.com has provided South Florida residents quality craftsmanship, accurate project management, and exceptional service. That's why EJDConstruction.com is an A-rated member of Angie's List and the Better Business Bureau. When you're looking for the right custom home builder for additions or home remodeling, please call my friend Eric at 305-433-4843. That's 305-433-4843 for EJDConstruction.com.
Welcome to Red Light Therapy, a revolutionary technology perfected by NASA to aid in muscle strengthening and recovery. Red and infrared light has the capacity to penetrate deep into the cell's mitochondria, potentially leading to increased energy, faster recovery, and the optimal performance your body demands. Train, fight, recover.
Statements or beliefs expressed on the following program by the host, guests, or callers are not necessarily the opinions of FantasyXS.com, Media Group Inc., ownership, management, sponsors, or website. When it comes to South Florida sports teams, very few in the media have witnessed, lived, and covered it like the Big O. Let's start the program dedicated to your favorite South Florida teams with a passion that's unmatched. The Big O Radio Show is on. Here's the Big O.
Girls, we are ready for hour number 2 of the program. Thank you for tuning in and supporting the show. Appreciate all of you out there. Obviously, we got the Heat in action tonight. Panthers are back in action tomorrow, taking on Arizona. We got the Bills and the Bengals tonight. That should be a lot of fun to watch that game. Sucks that our Dolphins aren't one of those elite teams. And yes, you do have a chance for the playoffs. If Miami beats the Jets, huge if, Pats lose or tie to at Buffalo, easily could both be had. Buffalo needs to win that game anyway. So it's not a sure thing for them that they don't need the game or anything like that. They need the game. So, and remember, Buffalo beat KC, so they've got the tiebreaker on them. And Buffalo has a better conference record unless they lose tonight. then that puts them in a really difficult situation. So, we'll see. Saturday, by the way, is the KC and Rams game. So Buffalo's going to know where they stand after that game next week. So we will find out about all of that. But yeah, Miami has a shot. Doesn't necessarily really motivate me, to be quite honest. Barbara Walters passes away at the age of 93 over the weekend. The legend, the monster reporter and broadcaster. Legend, man. Just amazing stuff with Barbara Walters. And over the weekend, we got to see the semifinal games. That was fun, dude. I got to say, TCU, Michigan, and Ohio State, Georgia. Holy crap. That was awesome. And I listen, if you're a Michigan, Ohio State, or Georgia fan, you don't count. But the rest of the country, we're all rooting for the Horned Frogs, aren't we? Right? I mean, that's the American way. We like to root for the underdog. And the Horned Frogs, buddy, they were using Michigan like their lily pad that entire night. That was impressive. Hell of an offense. There isn't a lot of defense in today's college. Yeah, there's less and less defense in sports, period. The NFL, the NBA, you name it, dude. College football's the same way. 51-45. And the other game was 42-41. Two close games, explosive offenses. Love what I saw from TCU. And, of course, I enjoy watching Mr. Khakis lose. I just do. There's just a part of me that enjoys watching Harbaugh lose. So 51-45 TCU wins. And then Georgia survives Ohio State 42-41. An amazing – Georgia's going for back-to-back titles. They're 14-0. They're trying to win their 15th game of the year. So it'll be January 9th, TCU and Georgia, a week from tonight. Georgia is favored by 13.5 points. I mean, if TCU wants any bulletin board material, they continue to have it because obviously everybody counts them out. Hell, some people want to put other teams in front of TCU to get into the playoffs. You know what I mean? And TCU has proven more than enough. They play in a Power 5 conference. It's cool. It's really, really cool. I know Georgia should be favored, and they are the best team in the country. But I will admit, I will be rooting for the Horned Frogs in every way possible. That'll be fun next Monday night. No Monday Night Football game. This is our last Monday Night Football game, by the way. Okay? Next week, there is no, in the final week, we have no Monday Night Football game. So this is our final Monday night. And nice job by the NFL. At least we are treated to a really good game that's incredibly important. I like it. Mr. Ross, go get Harbaugh from Michigan. Big O, I would stay far away from RG3, Deshaun Kaiser, Johnny Manziel, Baker Mayfield, Nick Foles, and Russell Wilson to get back up to it. Well, first of all, Russell Wilson is locked into a contract. The rest of those guys, pretty funny. Yeah, I don't think those guys are going to be part of the mix. We pay Cedric Wilson $7.5 million to be a punt returner, like it would make a difference, but why not a kick returner too? Neither guy can do it, bro. The Cedric Wilson mistake is one that is out of everybody's control. That was part of the first plan, and then Tyreek became available, and Cedric is not a returner. That's not his thing. He's not a kick returner. He's not a punt returner. As I fought all of last year with a lot of you, and over the last couple of years, Jakeem Grant, underappreciated, by most of you out there. The kid wasn't as big a problem as people made him out to be. He would have been beautiful in this offense now because he wasn't needed much. And that's the way you needed him. You needed him to focus completely on returns, and he is one of the best. And I just wonder if you never trade Jakeem and he's here, maybe he never gets injured. You know, he signed a free agent contract this offseason and he got injured in training camp, and they lost him for the year, unfortunately. And Miami has to, that's, besides a middle linebacker, besides other things that they may need on this team, they need a kick and punt returner. And I'm sure they're going to try to work on that this offseason, either in free agency or in the draft with one of their picks. But and where they're at, by the way, with the 3 picks they have in the second and third rounds, that's a nice area where you can get a really talented returner. So we'll see. We'll see. But I miss our guy, Jakeem Grant, man. I just kind of felt bad when sometimes we put players in positions in sports where it doesn't, like Caleb Martin. The Heat's doing it out of desperation. Is that really to his benefit? Is that really putting Caleb Martin in the best light to succeed? No, of course not. You're beating him up physically with bigger players. It's unfair to him. It wears him down. He doesn't get to be the player he normally is. It's completely unfair to Caleb Martin. And when you did it to Jakeem Grant, no, he's not a starting receiver in this league. But you had all kinds of injuries, and all of a sudden he's thrusted into the number 3 role. And he's running all kinds of routes, and that's not his thing. And this happens to players all the time, and sometimes it's out of their control, sometimes it's out of desperation. Bobby McCain. They needed a safety. What did they do? They moved Bobby McCain. How did Bobby McCain end the season? Shoulder injury. How big was Bobby McCain? Was he built to be a safety? So don't tell me when a player fails and then you're killing the player and then it's your fault, front office. It's your fault, coaching staff. You chose to put that player there. So if Caleb Martin ends up getting injured by the end of the year, your fault. Miami Heat, you put a guy, you weren't prepared. You didn't plan in the offseason and get a proper power forward and backup. And now you're putting an undersized guy who is wearing down in that position because he doesn't belong there. This happens all the time. And that's what happened to Jakeem Grant. Jakeem Grant should have been only a returner. Occasionally, you run him out there for 6, 7, 8 routes. Maybe you throw it to him once or twice, but decoy mostly. But he's got to be your 5th wide receiver or 6th wide receiver. Not your 1, not your 2, not your 3, not even your 4. He's got to be so complimentary. It's part of some kind of, trick play or something like that. And then when you go playing people in positions that they don't belong, and then we, fans and media, we start picking on the player and we start saying, oh, he's not doing the job. And well, of course he's not. It's not his job. You're putting him in a position to fail. Feel bad about that. Braden says, man, I think the Finns should redo the front office staff and QB room if they lose versus the Jets. Well, that's all we're going to hear for the next week and for the next couple of months. Whether they win or lose, people are going to want Chris Greer fired. They're not going to want Tua. They're not going to want Matt. You know how many my inbox on Facebook, on Instagram, and on Twitter, it is loaded. And not only are they loaded, but I haven't gone through it because it takes so much time to go through all that stuff. And I'll go through most of it eventually. Maybe tonight while I'm watching the game, I'll answer a bunch of stuff. But here's the thing. just by glancing, do you know how many I saw that said fire McDaniel already? And listen, I don't want to fire anybody right now. I'm not into firing anybody right now. I'm not into trading away to or any of that stuff at this point. But I'm not going to argue with you about it. I'll argue with you about the defensive thing that we've been arguing about all year, that I know the defense is sorry, but they keep you in every damn game, just like they did yesterday again. We can argue about that. I'm not going to argue with you if you want to fire Chris Greer, because none of it looks good right now. I'm not going to argue with you if you don't like Mike McDaniel, because what he did is dog shit. You can't go 8-3 and be 8-8 and make all the mistakes he made as a coach. And I don't want him fired, but I can't argue with the person that wants him fired. And the person that doesn't believe in Tua, I can't argue with you either. You all have points. Every one of you can stand on your side because you have ammunition. You have the facts. Okay? I'll argue till the end of the day with you on the defense. I will defend that shitty defense all the way to the end, because that shitty defense keeps you in the game. I don't know how they do it, but they keep you in a game every single week. Don't know how they do it. That's the difference between the way we look at the defense. Some of you out there actually think they should be way better. I don't. I don't. Not at all. I'm shocked. Every week I'm shocked that they do enough to keep people in games. That's just me. But if you don't want Tua here, I completely understand. He's unreliable physically. He can't hold up. How much, I mean, a couple years in college, a couple years in the NFL, how much more proof do you need? You know he can play, but clearly he's too fragile. That last tackle, that can't be a concussion. That's a concussion. That's bad news. That's really bad news. So I get it. And if you're not happy with Greer, well, there's a lot of examples right now that it's not working out. It's not a good look. And I can't defend any of this. I'd love to. I like Chris Greer. I like Mike McDaniel. Can't defend it. I like Tua. Can't defend it. Can't defend it. I don't have any material. I if I was a lawyer, I'd lose the case. The defense, I think I'm going to win the case. But the other stuff, yeah, I can't win that case. And it's up to all the people involved to prove any of us or those of you out there that doubt it or don't believe it wrong. The problem is the Dolphin Nation, a lot of people, they don't have the patience to wait for you. That's the reality. Zero patience. Why, after the conclusion on primetime, did he not choose to wear a safer helmet? Just bad, stupid decisions all around the franchise. NT Chevy, NT Chewy, my brother, what can I tell you? You are 1,000% right. And George Albany says, right on, Big O, I'm 100% in agreement with you. I give McDaniel and Tua one more year, but I can't defend Greer. And I understand. I completely understand. Greer's been here a long time, and some of you didn't want Greer in the first place. So with all these injuries and the Bradley Chubb stuff and all that, I know he's going to have less fans now at this point. I totally understand that. You know, I could argue and put up a fight for other things in the past. At the end of this season right now, I have nothing to stand on. You know? Gerald Exposito, thank you for the love in the super chat. Not making any excuses, but the Dolphins' luck this year is like looking both ways before crossing a street and getting struck by lightning. No, I know. No, there's what happened this year to the Dolphins is just unheard of. You know? When you say that you stand by the defense by default, you're saying Boyer has done well. I haven't heard you mention his name when defending the defense. I have said that. I said Boyer has done a good job with what he has. Just to keep you in the game with no Byron Jones, no Trill Williams, no Nick Needham. He's the one that found Cater Kohu and developed him, and that has helped out. X is a shell of what he is. He didn't trade for Bradley Chubb. The front office traded for Bradley Chubb, and he has done nothing. That's not his fault. It's not his fault that X is injured and not a shell of himself. It's not his fault that Raekwon Davis just can't get over the hump. He doesn't play on a consistent basis. It's not his fault that he's stuck with Duke Riley, who really, I like Duke Riley a lot as a fourth linebacker, as a fifth linebacker. I don't like him as one of my starting linebackers. And Landon Roberts, no business starting. He's a situational linebacker that only plays the run. Melvin Ingram, pass rushing linebacker. Not a guy you want in coverage. These are limited people. That's not his fault. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of things that are out of his control, and he has to work with it. And so the front office has to do a better job of getting better linebackers for him. And Bradley Chubb needs to get his head out of his ass and figure stuff out. And you want that money? Well, here comes that smoke. You got to play. X, well, here's where I'll disagree with the front office, and I'll disagree with a whole bunch of you. And by the way, a whole bunch of you can never call in and complain about X. This is why none of us track what you say, right? And I remember all I did was fight with people forever that they should have traded X 18, 19 months ago. Okay? That I'll tell you that I think the front but see, here's the part. I think the front office screwed up in not trading X, I totally understand why the front office kept X. How screwed up is that? I can defend why they kept X. Why? Because they had to get rid of Flo. They had to bring somebody in that can fix the offense, because they've got to figure out if the quarterback can play or not. And since Flo can't do that, now he delayed that process for 2 years. You didn't know enough about Tua. Now you know enough about Tua that he can play at a high level if you have an offensive coach. But the bigger problem with Tua is he can't stay healthy no matter what. So you had to find out if Tua can play, and you have to make a run already. So what are you going to do? Go get a young corner and put him out there instead of X? You can't do that. So you had to make the run with X. You have to make the run with Byron Jones. And that's what you were hoping, that you'd come back with your defense intact and you can go make a run with the quarterback and the new offensive mind. It didn't fall into place. The defense completely fell apart, and the quarterback physically falls apart. Oh, and by the way, the head coach is still not ready for prime time. Nobody, I don't remember a lot of people agreeing with me on the X thing. So it's not like I'm going to sit here and say, oh, yeah, no. And a couple hundred of you are going to come up on the text chat and say, no, I agreed with you on trading X. Bullshit. So mistakes have been made. Things need to get corrected. And, we're going to find out. We're going to find out what happens next year. But this is the rut we're in, unfortunately. Victor Huertas, Big O, we should get the GM that got fired from Tennessee. I don't know why that GM got fired from Tennessee. You know? But, oh, by the way, Jarrell, thank you for the super chat. Very nice of you. And Victor, thank you for the super chat. Very nice of you. Remember Cash App or Venmo at Cash Big O Show. That is Cash Big O Show. Okay, what else do we have here? Michelle Cracchiola, thank you for the love on Venmo. That is Cash Big O Show on Venmo or Cash App or Venmo, Cash Big O Show. Michelle writes, Big O, thank you for being here for us long-suffering Fins fans, because you are one of us. Hopefully we can celebrate greatness like the old days before too long. I'm hoping too, man. I'm hoping too. I don't got a lot of time left in this earth. So I'd like to, I'd like to enjoy some Dolphin success before I check out. It would be fun, you know. Nothing better than having a child, and Caitlin is obviously my greatest accomplishment. Obviously meeting my wife and being with my wife for I don't know, I think it's like 36 years now, and pretty close to 36. It'll be 36 in November. I think that's how it goes, right? Because I think it's our 29th wedding anniversary in March, and then our 36th anniversary in November when we became boyfriend, girlfriend, all that crap. And so those are, the things I'm most happiest about in the world. And obviously, you know what? Being in this business for as long as I've made it in this business and had to adjust in this business. But outside of that, man, those things are the ultimate happiness that I could have. But Dolphins would be, God, I'd love to experience that one more time before I check the hell out. And I say it that way because, man, every day is a blessing. You never know when it's your last day, but it's just one of those that you just wonder, when the hell are they ever going to fix it? Because the Lions fans have been saying it way before I even was born. The Browns fans have been saying this before I was born. Okay? And the last titles the Dolphins won, I was 7 and 8 years old. It's been a while, folks. It's been a while. All right, let's get to a little Miami Dolphins talk with Teddy Bridgewater's number one fan, Alan Poupart, and our EJDconstruction.com. I got to laugh already. Miami Dolphins report.
Dolphins fans, time to get insight on your favorite team with your favorite reporter with an Expos hat. Sports Illustrated's Alan Poupart in our EJDconstruction.com Miami Dolphins report, exclusively on a Big O radio show.
All right, the moment everybody's been waiting for.
Couldn't resist.
Happy New Year, by the way. Happy
New Year to you.
Not a happy New Year for Dolphins fans.
Yeesh.
It's the same old New Year's.
Yeesh.
It's just Groundhog Day. It's just, and by the way, every one of you feels that. Oh, not like Marcel and Cam. These are babies on the beat. They haven't really experienced pain yet. They don't even know what it's like. But people like yourself that have been on the beat for a long time, Perkins that has gone back and forth and been on the beat for a while and had to cover a lot of misery. You guys, even though you're not fans, you're all rooting for way better days, bro. Like,
of course,
you guys are tired of covering this. You don't want to see this anymore. It's like, because I always want to mention this because, and I get it that we have a couple people in the media overall, national, they kind of thrive on this stuff and they love all this kind of stuff. but most media members, especially long-term beat writers that are on the Browns or Detroit, or brother, they want them to win. It's a hell of a lot more fun to cover winning than asking about all the negativity that's going on, and there's a lot of it.
No doubt about it. And here's something else too. You've heard me mention like the Brady fatigue syndrome, the Chiefs fatigue syndrome. For me, it's like I want to experience as I watch the NFL and analyze it and all that different things from year to year. I don't want to see like the Chiefs always near the top, Brady always a factor, the Dolphins always flopping at the end. The Steelers, basically, you have to kill them 18 times before they actually get out of the picture. I mean, the damn Steelers, for Christ's sake, they might make the playoffs now. I mean, it's completely ridiculous. I mean, nothing against this.
I'm a Kenny Pickett guy, bro. I told everybody he's just young and give him time, and he'll be fine. He had moxie at Pittsburgh, bro.
That's what he's got. He's got a Joe Burrow-like quality to him. Like he looked like shit for 3.5 quarters yesterday, and that game-winning drive he made a couple of throws. That pill he threw down the middle to Steven Sims was just completely ridiculous.
Watch him at Pitt. Same shit.
Yeah,
Watch him at Pitt. The kid was just a playmaker, and they go, "Oh, the hands." Oh, get out of here, bro. Just the guy can throw the ball. Relax. He can play. He's a smart kid. He's a tough kid, by the way. Had multiple concussions also, and he's fought through it. So eventually he'll turn out to be a solid player for them. He'll turn around. All right, let's.
All that to say that yes, it's very tiresome to be going through this thing.
Yeah, it is, and I know that you guys want them to. It's not you're sitting there rooting for them, but it's better to cover. I mean, when they were 8-3, life was good, bro. It's fun to watch it. You got a guy for a candidate for Coach of the Year. The quarterback's a candidate for MVP of the year. Tyreek Hill's a candidate for MVP of the year, and 5 weeks later, they're no longer candidates for anything anymore.
A lot more fun to write about the possibilities of them getting the top seed as opposed to will they be able to back into the playoffs?
Right, which has been the story of their lives. Whenever they do go to the playoffs, it's about backing in, to the playoffs. It's just bad. All right, so quarterback. First of all, let's get over that hump. The Bridgewater and Skyler performances.
Well, here's the thing, and I know everybody, and I tweeted this. Everybody's going to dump on Bridgewater for the pick six. Absolutely, rightfully so. So horrible pass, both physically and the decision where he never saw Doug.
Actually, the worst part was him trying to tackle him. Like, come on, Teddy, bro.
And another one, but
somebody showed Teddy that Marino never tackled anybody. Right. Somebody showed Tua that Marino threw the ball away like thousands and thousands of times right away. Like, plays dead, bam, gone. It hit somebody in the 40th row. Come on.
Bridgewater is a very, very skinny dude. We talk about Tua not having like the physique for the NFL. Bridgewater has the physique to stay in the pocket, throw the ball, and get the hell out of the damn way. So yeah, that was my. Outside of that, I actually thought he did a nice job doing what he was asked to do. And this is where my biggest gripe with the game yesterday is: ask me how much I despised the game plan, which starts with H, ends with T, and has 9 letters. I mean, for Christ's sake, I get the idea. We've been ragging on him. Don't abandon the running game so quickly. Well, yesterday, he stuck with it way too long. And his explanation after the game made me want to puke, where he said we were well aware of New England's defensive touchdowns and we're trying to guard against that. Well, guess what? The defensive touchdowns, more often than not, are going to come on 3rd down. Not on 1st and 10, where it's a perfect time to throw the ball instead of running it 14 of 17 first downs when Bridgewater was in the game. And it's not like they were like reeling off 5, 6 yards.
They weren't killing it. Right.
It was 2 yards, 3 yards, and he just kept doing it and doing it and doing it. Like, give the guy a chance. Do you know his passer rating before the pick six was 119.3? I tell you, I'm going to say that you give that to any quarterback. I mean, that's Pro Bowl stuff. Yeah. So it's not, and I'm not saying he was lighting it up. I'm just saying he was very efficient, except for that one play, and then he has to leave the game.
It was all manufactured. It was balanced out. There was run, there was pass. There was a nice mix, those 2 drives, actually. And then it got kind of, unbalanced.
Way too conservative.
And that's the thing with McDaniel, that, he's still a young play caller and a young coach, and he has some chinks in the armor, unfortunately. This is part of a first-year coach, unfortunately. I'd love to see a first-year coach that's just fantastic and takes off right from the get-go. That'd be fun. But yeah, he's got a lot to learn, Alan. He's got a lot to learn, the way he's managed games this year. It's been
No, and I was personally shocked, because one of the things that's kind of sticks out to me when you see McDaniel either in media sessions or the way he runs a game, he usually comes from a place of, I don't want to say cockiness, but like full confidence in what he's doing, what the team is doing. And then yesterday it looked to me like the offensive game plan was scared. And I don't know how much of it was because Armstead's not playing. Now he's got Kendall Lamb. Eichenberg's back in the lineup. Brandon Shell's on the right side.
They didn't do a bad job. You did not lose because of the offensive line, okay? Right?
No, but the run blocking wasn't good. I'm not putting it on the offensive line, though. You're absolutely right.
When has the run blocking rarely is good. Once in a while, whenever it gets in a groove, the dude at the top forgets to keep using it. But I mean, pass blocking, they did the same thing they've done all year. They did enough.
Especially without Armstead there. Yeah, no major complaints there. I would be nice to stop.
Then even with Little, they still were able to at least
correct.
Be serviceable. You know what I'm saying?
I had no issue with it. Like to me, the number one issue was the play calling was atrocious to me. Bridgewater, the pick six was bad on so many levels. And then when Skyler came in, it was like for the first time all year, more so than before, he looked completely overmatched.
Yeah,
and it may be stuff that Belichick was doing on defense. But he looked.
It's a great lesson for all of us. Ezukama, Skyler, and who was the other? Who? No. There was one more that had a really nice preseason. It wasn't Tyndall. Who am I missing?
Position?
Yeah, it was Ezukama. It was Skyler, and wasn't there another young guy that did all right? But either way, when you see them now, it shows you the enormous difference between preseason when nobody's scheming. They're not really looking for your negatives and your weaknesses, and they're not trying to expose you. And it's very vanilla, everything that's going on. It's a great opportunity to show that you have the ability that, hey, you get some we can work with. Braylon Sanders is the other guy.
Yep.
That Braylon Sanders has crapped in his pants, and he played well in the preseason too. And so all three guys shined in the preseason, shined in training camp. Hey. And then all of a sudden they haven't been able to see the light of day, or when they do play, they haven't played well. It's a nice lesson for all of us that, hey, in the preseason, somebody plays well, take it with a grain of salt. It just means that, hey, this is something we can work with now. Let's see what happens from here on out. In other words,
it basically shows you if the guys have the physical traits to succeed in the NFL, and we see that with Ezukama. But until he catches up here, he's not going to contribute. I mean, dude's been
clearly Tyndall must be so behind because they brought other guys that have skipped over him and guys that are special teams linebackers or whatever. And so that tells you that he must be, doesn't mean he can't play. Doesn't mean he won't become a hell of a player. There's lots of guys like that they're not very effective in their first year or two. That happens all the time in the NFL. My God, Paul Soliai was absolutely useless for like 2 to 3 years. And then at the back end of his first contract is when the lights started to go on and he became, one hell of a player. So it happens, you know what I mean?
But with him, it wasn't so much grasping the nuances of the game as opposed to commitment to the craft. When he got serious, and I think it was Sperano sat him down and said, get your ass in shape, or you're going to be out of the league pretty soon. And Soliai took it to heart, and he became a complete stud.
He also had a weird technique when he first started. Remember, he used to line up. I've never seen that sideways. Yeah, and then finally they taught him to stand up, straight up on the guy, and he took off. But he had this weird stance. the first couple of years, it was like odd. I remember one of, a prominent player that told me right away, a defensive prominent player that told me, yeah, that guy ain't got it. And it's because that's what you see early on. And then eventually, he kind of figures it out. Next year or this offseason, it's a weird dynamic because you and I know Tua's going to be back. I mean, they're not going to get rid of Tua. But you've got to do a better job in the front office of finding actually a quarterback that could almost take his job or really compete for the job, or that somebody that is really capable of running that offense overall. You've got to really do it because of the injury history, unfortunately. So how do you handle that backup position next year? Because I can't even put Skyler there yet to be that backup. Now, when you look at the injury history of Tua, you got to figure whoever's the backup is definitely going to play, and it's got to be somebody that we can really count on. How do you get to that point? Because I'm thinking, okay, how do you convince a Garoppolo to come here when he's going to be offered a starting job in a crappy team from somebody, or Derek Carr or somebody like that? So how do you handle that part? Because that's super important for next season.
They also have no cap space. And here, one final thing.
You get great. They have no draft capital.
You also have other needs to create cap space. Here, I want to say one final thing about Teddy, though, because to me it wasn't performance based, but the fact that in his 2 starts he couldn't finish the game, that's obviously, and it's got to be a record. Tua has missed 4 games. The Dolphins have had to make a quarterback change because of an injury in those 4 games he missed. I mean, that's completely crazy.
No backup. None of their backup quarterbacks have been able to finish a game.
I mean, that's great. 4 games. That's crazy. So to me, that's more about that. And I had
and I thought Skyler got banged up on one play there. I was like, oh man, are you all right?
He did. I noticed it too. He took a shot and it was like he got up a little bit slow. To oh Jesus!
Oh, I was like, oh, bro.
The problem, and your premise is good. The problem is you got to find somebody who's not going to be looking to break the bank, because again, yes, you can create cap space, but the Dolphins have other needs. It's not like they can spend a ton on a second quarterback when you already have 2 on the roster.
They have to.
I understand, but I'm saying it's got to be a wise investment. And the couple of guys who like kind of semi come to mind, could be guys like Gardner Minshew, who maybe could succeed in that system, even though he had I didn't see the game, but he had crappy stats yesterday.
Yeah, he didn't play well yesterday, but I mean,
I saw one way.
All right.
I saw the pick 6 where he completely stared at the guy. Baker Mayfield, maybe, except now if he continue, maybe the Rams are going to bring him as an insurance policy for Stafford, and maybe he'll look at that situation and think, oh, I could become the starter there at some point. Jimmy G, like you said, is going to have a lot of, I think, competition for service. The Jets are going to go be shopping for a quarterback in the offseason. That's one team right there. Carolina, probably another team.
By the way, kudos to Geno Smith. Did you see what he did to Zach Wilson yesterday?
Yes. Oh, he's always been a classy guy, though. Always been a classy guy, Geno Smith.
Always been a great dude. And for him to take that moment like, hey, yo, I've been here, bro. That's probably what he was telling him. Hang in there, stay strong, all that kind of stuff. I thought that was really, really cool for Geno Smith, even though I think Geno Smith is wired differently than this guy. But whatever. We'll see. Maybe this kid can grow up. You know what I mean? Because there's a lot of Johnny Manziel I see in this kid that I don't know if he's going to really figure it out. You know what I mean? I'm not sure. I don't know how he's wired.
So anyway, that's going to be tough. And interesting you mentioned Zach Wilson, because I can easily see Robert Saleh going back to Zach Wilson for the finale now that they're out of the playoffs. And again, this is a number 2 overall pick from a year ago. And if they can, is
that the second coming? Like some of our South Florida fans think that he's the second coming.
Yeah. Here's the thing, though. He was great in the beginning because he wasn't Zach Wilson. And he made a couple of nice throws, and he was a better team player. And here's the other part too. He's another guy who maybe could have some success if everything around him is perfect. That offensive line is a complete nightmare. I don't know if you've ever seen the watch.
I know. I mean, they have also, like Miami, have had terror. I mean, Mekhi Becton, my God, that's been a disaster of a pick. Yeah. And I think he's so large that he puts so much stress on those bones and that body of his that he can't stay healthy, bro. I mean, and that is a large man. Okay, large man. But yeah, they've had also really bad luck on the O line.
They lost Vera Tucker, who may have been their best offensive lineman. He's like no, a very good player. So yeah, so Mike White has looked horrible, but again, let's not pretend like he's got a whole lot of time to make anything happen. But anyway, back to my original point. To me, it would be logic says they're starting Zach Wilson against the Dolphins, because if they would be crazy not to try every single solitary thing to salvage this guy, and they're out of the playoffs. So,
okay. Anyway. Well, guys out there, if you have extra tickets, invite every MILF possible. That's all I got to say.
There you go.
Invite the MILFs.
Distract them, right?
MILFs, little cut down shirt there. Have them wave at Zach every once in a while. Get his mind off the game. All that kind of stuff. So just in case, Dolphin fans out there, bring the MILFs to the stadium on Sunday. That's all I'm saying. If you want to help your team, bring a MILF. No, and if it winds up being Zach Wilson against Skylar Thompson, what do you figure the over-under is going to be? 32? Oh my God. Yeah, well, right now it is I think it was like 41 or something. I'll look it up again, but they have I think the Dolphins are favored in this game, which is amazing to me that the Dolphins are favored. To be honest, the way they've played,
lost 4 in a row or 5 in a row also.
I know, but their defense is pretty freaking good. And so I just I'm terrified of poor Skylar playing against that defense, because he's a young guy, man. It's I almost feel bad for Skylar, because they're putting him in such a tough position. You know what I mean? And it's hard for him to succeed because he's green, man. Really green. Let me see what we got here. Yeah, 2.5 right now. The Dolphins are favored. Over and under is 39.5 right now.
And if something happens to Skylar, you're going to have a guy that's probably going to sign off on the practice squad this week.
Well, there's no practice. I looked at the practice squad. There's nobody on the practice squad.
Not correct, but they worked out 2 guys late last week.
Kyle Lauletta and
Jack.
Yeah, I'm going to say they signed Lauletta.
I agree.
Because Lauletta does have accuracy. He's not super gifted. That's the thing about Kyle. He doesn't really, because I thought he was one of those intriguing late round projects that you can bring in. I think that was it the Giants that drafted him, I want to say, in the late rounds. And I thought he's one of those. I always like, whenever I go to these bowl games, these postseason bowl games, I always like looking at the fringe guys and saying, okay, well, he's got some ability. There's a guy you take a stab on in the 5th, 6th, 7th rounds, or street free agent, and bring him in. I thought Kyle was one of those guys that you might be able to bring in because he's a smart guy and he's got some accuracy. We'll see what happens, because they are. Luckily, they worked out, those 2 guys. I would imagine that there might be another guy or 2 working out today, right?
That would make sense. Because again, if, as the initial report, I think it was Pro Football Talk reported, that Bellidi's got a fractured finger, and that's problematic.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Jason Sanders got his ass cut yesterday officially, right?
Probably.
Isn't the cap hit not bad or anything after this, right? I think it's not too bad or something.
Yeah, I never checked it beyond this year. I checked it like during the course of the year when it was struggling early on. It wouldn't work. I think it was Marcel who tweeted out that there's no cap space hit if you cut him in the off season. At the very least, bring in a challenger. It's just no. And then you watch Daniel Carlson with the Raiders making like a 57-yard field goal, like it's nobody's business.
Well, this we talked about it last night. They had punting issues last year, and they found a punter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, brother, you got kicking issues? Go find yourself a kicker, and that's it, man. You should be able to draft one, or you should be able to sign one that's undrafted. You should be able to do something, in the offseason and fix that. But Jason Sanders, you have to move on from, right?
Yeah, based on his performance, you got a guy that unfortunately you haven't been able to rely on, and like I wrote yesterday, the Dolphins right now, the way they're playing, they don't have any margin for error. They can't afford to be missing. Granted, it's a long field goal, but there's a lot of kickers who make long field goals.
No. Nowadays, 51-yarder is not an unmakeable field goal. It's not. It's actually not a great accomplishment anymore. When we were young, holy shit, he hit a 51-yarder. Right, that's awesome. Nowadays, it's almost routine. I hate to say, unless there's swirling winds, and luckily yesterday, freaking dead. It was wind had nothing to do with anything, and that thing just hooked. So
I mean, 83-year-old Mason Crosby hit a 56-yard field goal, for the Packers. So
but he's been Money Mason many years, and that is a beautiful thing whenever you're able to find that guy that can stay with your franchise for a long time, man. I mean,
those are not easy to come by, though. Those are not easy to come by, because you got. I mean, look around the NFL. How many would you say have been like really, really good for
Tucker,
Daniel
Crosby?
Daniel Carlson for a few years has been outrageous. There are not that many.
No. I know. But whenever you're able to find a sea bass, although they did, they drafted him in the first
round pick, yeah.
So in the long run, if I tell you the player becomes your all-time leading scorer, is that a bad? I'm not telling you the position. Now I gave it away already. But if I tell you I'm drafting this guy in the first round and he's going to become the franchise's all-time leading scorer.
But that's just volume, though. That's volume. Look at his career percentage. Is he even top 10 in the NFL all time in career?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. But I know he was kind of the start of the power kicker of more distance and all that kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? And in the end, it really didn't become a bad pick. Like, it was terrible at the moment, but you have him for 16 years. It's like, well, hey, dude. At least we didn't have to worry about that damn position for a long time until he got old and out of shape. You know what I mean? So to their credit, and remember, didn't they draft like the punter that same year or right after, or the year after?
Shane Leckler,
right in the second round, right? Mm-hmm. And again, he was
very good. Yeah.
He was a hell of a player for a while, dude. He was a hell of like when you would play them, you knew their kicking game was okay. You were screwed already in that area. You know what I mean? So it's weird if I tell you that, like, it doesn't sound like a bad thing that your first round pick, no matter what position, becomes your all-time leading scorer. That's like, okay.
I'm not with you on that, because you can get much more value. Now, if you're telling me Justin Tucker was a first round pick, I'd be like, okay, because he's won games. I don't know how many games Janikowski won, and I don't think his field goal percentage for his career was necessarily that outstanding.
He's been a part. Janikowski was part of a mess for most of his time.
I understand
so I can't blame it all on him. Whereas Tucker has been actually part of a very good franchise with normally a struggling offense.
That's true. You're not wrong there.
It's so much. You know what I mean? But he is so good, brother. He's better than Janikowski.
Gee, you think?
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I mean, yeah, that guy is special, brother. He is special. All right, linebacking. That's got to be one of the priorities this offseason, right? To improve the linebackers. I love Duke Riley. I like him as a backup linebacker. I do. Sure. I think he's a terrific terrific backup linebacker, smart guy. The guy you want to have a beer with, a guy you want to talk football with, you know it. He's like, you're around him, you're like, all right, this is a pretty cool guy, really smart guy, all that. But I think he's just one of those backup special teamers. And when I look at Ingram, I love him rushing the passer, but outside of that, he's very limited. The thumper, what's his name now? Landon Roberts, who will knock your pecker in your sock, great in the run game, but he can't really do much else. Outside of that, he's a very limited linebacker. How desperately do they need to improve their linebackers?
Oh, I mean, a lot. And you didn't mention Jerome Baker, who's been a nice player, but he also got a big contract, and he's not playing anywhere near what you would expect somebody with that contract to play. I mean, he's just right now.
I told Marcel this yesterday, and maybe you'll agree with me or disagree with me on this one. the bigger problem for Jerome Baker is that he doesn't have the proper people next to him to take away the pressures of everything else that goes on in that position. He doesn't have a middle linebacker. It's a thumper that can go sideline to sideline and hunt running quarterbacks. He doesn't have a strong side linebacker that can really, carry the load against the run. And so now he's more of a weak side, pass rushing, a little cover, that kind of guy. If you're asking him to get a bunch of stuff to run and get tackles behind the line of scrimmage, that's really not his game. And I think that that's the problem. The fact that Chubb isn't doing his job, the fact that the linebackers that he has around him aren't doing their job, it kind of puts him in another position, almost that you're depending more out of him. And he's really not that player, unfortunately. I think he would look different with the proper players next to him taking off that pressure from him. I don't know what you think.
No, I don't get it. I don't let him off the hook.
No?
I just he's not a difference maker in the least. He was more so a little bit the last couple of seasons. Maybe because the personnel around him was better, particularly behind him. But to me, the best off the ball linebacker this year by far has been Roberts, who, as you mentioned, is limited, but he's made the most of what he's got. I mean, you mentioned just all he does is stuff to run. Yesterday he had a sack on fourth down when he just didn't.
Right, he can do a little bit of that. It's just you can't get him out in open space. He's just
I agree. But to me, for who he is and what he is, and again also for what you're paying him, I think he's had a very, very good season. Jerome Baker hasn't come close to matching the value of his contract. To me, he's been absolutely a jag.
Oh yeah, no, you have to part ways with him, and that contract's going into its third year.
He signed an extension. I think it was before last year. Yeah, I believe he's heading into the final year.
Yeah, so you might be able to get they're going to take several cap hits, big time cap hits this offseason in order to restructure stuff.
Yeah.
And he's going to be one of them probably when it's all said and done. All right, what do you got going in Sports Illustrated so folks can check you out, my friend?
Well, I'm keeping tabs on the NFL. I already wrote something about the week 18 schedule games that have been announced and how they could that impact the Dolphins. How the NFL put the Kansas City Chiefs in a Saturday game when their outcome could impact Buffalo, Cincinnati, for example, and by proxy, other teams that are involved in the AFC is completely ridiculous to me. I cannot understand why the NFL did that, other than the fascination with Patrick Mahomes and ratings. I don't know. I don't get it. And then I'm going to do the usual day after the game stuff with the snap count observations, the 5 biggest plays, revisiting the biggest storylines, and obviously recapping what Mike McDaniel is going to tell us later this afternoon.
But you did answer your own question, right? Ratings at Mahomes.
Yes, but even at that, Jesus.
It's not, but can I say something? It has nothing to do with the NFL.
Oh, correct. It's very possible.
TV company put a gun to the NFL's head saying, do this now. We're paying you billions. Do it now. This is what we need so we can make our money back. And that's basically what they're doing, bro. That's all it is, man. It's Mahomes. It's the Chiefs. It's prime time.
Yeah.
It's ratings. It's we can sell more money, more ads. That's all it is.
It's also wrong, and it's also part of my Chiefs fatigue syndrome. I mean,
It is. And I get it, and I understand it. But when you're hot, they ride the Bulls and Michael Jordan. When you're hot, they ride the Lakers and Magic or whatever is going on, Kobe and Shaq. It's just the way it is, man. They're going to ride it. And while KC's got this magic going on with Mahomes, they're going to ride that. They're going to ride the Bills. They're going to ride the Bengals, by the way. The Bengals are another sweetheart of the league now with Burrow and the magic that they do. So, yeah, it is what it is. All right. What do you got going on in Sports Illustrated so they can check? I told
you 2 seconds ago. Did you already forget?
Anything else? Nothing else? That's it? All right.
I listed 5 things. That's not enough. I'm sorry. I'll talk.
You write 5 things in an hour.
That's a good
point.
What
are you talking about? That's 5 things in an hour. You write while you're asleep, which is really screwed up. I don't know if you guys know this. He has like this thing on his brain stuck there, and then it's just typing on the side. So when he wakes up in the morning, he's got a couple of articles already written. It's like he's cheating. Really,
cool, that would be really cool. That would be cool.
That would be cool, right? That would be cool. All right. Follow him on Twitter at Poupart NFL. Catch his work there at Sports Illustrated at alldolphins.com. Alan, we love you. We will talk to you later on in the week, my friend. Happy New Year.
You'll be good.
You got it. There you go. The great Alan Poupart. As always, getting it done with our EJDconstruction.com Miami Dolphins report.
You've been listening to the EJDconstruction.com Miami Dolphins report with Sports Illustrated's Alan Poupart. For additions, home remodeling, and custom work, call Eric at 305-433-4843. EJDconstruction.com is your custom home builder and general contractor you can trust. 305-433-4843.
All right. Well, you know what time it is, right? It is time for a little fantasy football. And, we're going to do fantasy football year round, but the thing is that now we go with the psychos that play fantasy football, because if your Super Bowl is this week, you are just out of your mind. You need to talk to your commissioners. You need to straighten that out, but you're going to need some help because week 18 can get a little fuzzy. So fuzzy that, hell, you just heard Poupart just say they might bring Zach Wilson back this week against the Dolphins. So those of you that love your Mike White, you're going to get a little Zach Wilson. Like I said, Dolphin fans, if you have an extra ticket, please bring a MILF to the stadium. Okay? We need as many hot MILFs in the stadium as possible. We want Zach looking at the stands, looking everywhere but on the field or at the defense or anything. In fact, if the Dolphins are smart, they get rid of all their cheerleaders for this week and hire a group of MILF cheerleaders, okay, that perform like the replacement cheerleaders. If you've ever seen the movie The Replacements, we need MILFs acting like them on the sidelines, okay? We need to disrupt the atmosphere at Hard Rock Stadium the entire afternoon for Zach Wilson, okay? We want Zach searching for as many numbers in the stands as possible, all right? And by the way, Dolphins, do me a favor. Put the MILF cheerleaders on the Jets side. That way, Zach will not go to any meetings, will not look at his iPad or anything. He's just going to go straight over to the cheerleaders, try to get some numbers, try to hit on them, all that kind of stuff. And then, his mind won't be in the game. But then again, I'm thinking about this. That might be a plan that could backfire on us because the MILFs might actually motivate him. We'll ask Andy Behrens about that in our Sports Grill Fantasy Football Zone. That's next.
For over 16 years, EJDconstruction.com has provided South Florida residents quality craftsmanship, accurate project management, and exceptional service. That's why EJDconstruction.com is an A-rated member of Angie's List and the Better Business Bureau. When you're looking for the right custom home builder for additions or home remodeling, please call my friend Eric at 305-433-4843. That's 305-433-4843 for EJDconstruction.com.
Welcome to Red Light Therapy, a revolutionary technology perfected by NASA to aid in muscle strengthening and recovery. Red and infrared light has the capacity to penetrate deep into the cell's mitochondria, potentially leading to increased energy, faster recovery, and the optimal performance your body demands. Train, fight, recover.
viewpoint statements or beliefs expressed on the following program by the host, guests, or callers are not necessarily the opinions of FantasyAccess.com, Media Group Inc. ownership, management, sponsors, or website. PPR, Draft, Keeper, Dynasty. It's the Sports Grill, Fantasy Football Zone with Yahoo Sports' Andy Behrens. Keep up with your fantasy football teams by visiting any of the 8 great Sports Grill locations. Sports Grill, good food, good drink, good friends. Here's Andy Behrens.
There he is, locked and loaded. What do you think about my MILF plan this weekend? Do we load?
I'm not
with MILFs. Does that help or hurt Zach Wilson?
Well, it clearly perhaps it helps him in the long run, hurts him in the short run. I like if you're facing Zach Wilson, that's already a bit of a victory.
Okay.
If you need to further sabotage Zach Wilson, that is a pretty serious concern. But it couldn't hurt.
I mean, we're Dolphins fans. We need all the help we can possibly get. So, if the MILF community wants to help us out, we would really appreciate.
There's probably a Dolphins cheerleader alumni association that you just tap right into, right?
Right, exactly. And then he's going to want to tap into that. So that's kind of the idea, Wants to tap that app, as it used to say. And one of our sponsors called Liquor Split, tap that app. So I'm sure they want to tap that app. That's what
it's a very different variety of fantasy football that we've ventured into already, right?
Yes,
the first
yes,
minute.
it is. Yes, it is. And if you have any of those kind of fantasy questions also for Andy Behrens, you can send it in for him. It's not a problem, Do you go with those? Do you go with the Toyota babe, or do you go with Lily from AT&T?
I'm gonna need some time to consider that. I've not really probably. Oh man, that's a tough one. It's a tough one. Same kind of relative charm.
I'm going Lily. I'm going Lily all the way. I'm a Milt Melania fan. No, that's her. By the way, that's her Instagram handle, Milt Melania.
Well, you've done research. I've done no research.
I'm a Lily from AT&T fan. I think she's an under the radar hottie, actually.
Well, this is good buzz marketing for AT&T. Not that they.
Yes, it is. Yes, AT&T. You guys want to sponsor us? Let's go. We need a cell phone carrier. We don't have one on the platform, so why not, man? 20 million downloads. Let's go. We're getting it out to people. All right. So let's get into a little Week 18 action, which is really, really weird, and just it's one of those where if you're in Week 18, you're really gambling. Let's just say.
I will say this season it does seem like we're going to be heading into Week 18 with the best teams still having something to play for, right? Like this weird Eagles situation.
Bills and
Chiefs.
Bills
got to win out. Chiefs got to win out. The Bengals still care as of this moment, so that's a win. Obviously, the Eagles have to win next week in order to lock up home field throughout the NFC. I think the only teams that are at risk of obviously playing like bench guys because they've locked up everything they can are the Giants. And Brian Abel said immediately after the game that they would not rest starters. I don't know that seems wise, right? Like I would certainly play Matt Breida over Saquon Barkley. I would play Tyrod. I wouldn't risk Daniel Jones getting injured in a game like that, but whatever. I mean, it is an important game for the Eagles. And then I don't think the Bucs can improve their position, right? They're kind of locked in. But there's nobody, there are no Bucs on the bench that you're going to care about. So I don't know that you can really do anything with that. It's not like it's a blow up spot for any reserve Tampa Bay players.
No, I'm with you there. By the way, if you got questions, send them in right now on the YouTube chat board. Of course, you can also send them in through Super Chat. A lot easier to see, and of course on Cash App or Venmo at Cash Big O Show, and on Twitter at Big O Show. That's another way that you can also send it in. So if you got some questions, Send them in. Tyler Algiers, is that a guy we count on in week 18?
Yeah, that guy looked great. Again, he's got Tampa Bay this coming week, but with the Bucs not having anything to play for, I don't know that we'll exactly see, the best version of that defense or offense. Algier looks phenomenal. In fact, one of the best plays that he had on Sunday was negated by penalty. Had another situation, I believe, where he elected not to score a touchdown for game situations, right? Like it could have really been a blow up game for him. He looks outstanding to me. And even though Cordero Patterson remains heavily involved, all they want to do is run the football. So there's carries enough there. There's touches enough there for both guys to remain fantasy factors. I just think this is as good as anyone could have reasonably have expected Tyler Algier to look. I think he's been fantastic.
All right. A team still playing for something. You tell me, James Cook. What do you do? He's available in some leagues. Is that worth a gamble right now?
Sure. Now, as to whether if you're actually in a fantasy championship, if you're seriously desperate for a starting running back, like I don't know that you'll actually be rolling. Like these are the best teams theoretically that are in action right now. So
I'm just
don't
trying
want
to find some nuggets for them deep, just in case they have any.
Yeah. I don't mean to. I don't mean to imply that he's entirely useless, because certainly there's guys out there in really deep leagues, but he's been an exciting player. He's had some weirdly this year. He's had some bad moments as a receiver where he's not exactly like finishing a route the way Josh Allen thinks he's going to, but he's also had some great improvisational moments with Josh Allen. And he's had some nice moments on the ground too. So obviously they're leaning into him and Devin Singletary right now. I feel like each week sort of rewrites the fantasy scouting report on James Cook. So we'll see what we get tonight, but he's been super promising. And obviously the late season usage has been outstanding.
So if you're gambling for a flex, do the Cowboys have much to play for next week?
The Cowboys, surprisingly enough, are still alive for everything, right? Like I think they have a path to the 1 seed. They have a path to the division. It all hinges on the Eagles losing, and I don't know that the Eagles are going to lose if they actually get Jalen Hurts back, but they do technically have a fair amount to play for. So I would think that we might see the return of Tony Pollard. That would be exciting. Obviously, Dak's been a little up and down, but his best moments have been quite good. So I think you're firing up all Cowboys for sure.
Yeah, no. Well, that's why I'm saying. But will they actually go with Malik? Will they use him at all?
Yeah, no, I'd be pretty surprised by that, depending on Pollard's health, right? Like maybe they just say we just want to get Tony Pollard to the postseason. We think that Malik and Zeke are good enough to get it done in week 18. We'll see, but that's entirely contingent on Pollard's practice reports.
Right, and that's why. Okay, so not something. I mean, I personally would not use this kid at all in a week 18 matchup, but I don't know if you're in a 20 or 16 team league and the talent is really thin and those kind of things. All right. So is there a receiver that you like out of the waiver wire that could be somebody that you would use?
Yeah, I think I'll give you 3 guys who are available in a majority of Yahoo leagues right now, all of whom are pretty interesting. The first is Treylon Burks. I thought he looked great this like in a dog of a game on Thursday night. Man, another winner for Prime Video, right? Just an absolute dog of a game between the Cowboys and Titans. Treylon Burks was a bright spot, really looked good. And he's healthy right now. It seemed like with Josh Dobbs at quarterback, they're actually running a normal NFL offense in terms of, run pass mix. So that was good to see. So there's plenty of targets available to him. So I thought Treylon Burks was pretty interesting and somebody that you can definitely play against Jacksonville in week 18. Jacksonville's been a pretty leaky pass defense all year. Assuming the Giants are really going to roll out regulars, I think Richie James is super interesting. Like he saw double-digit targets a couple weeks ago, had 90 receiving yards, and then followed it with 70+ yards and a touchdown this past week. Obviously, has great rapport with Daniel Jones. He's getting those slot targets, so a lot of them are easy if you're in any sort of PPR format. I think he's interesting. And then the final name that I would throw out there as being relatively interesting is Kadarius Toney. He's not playing a ton. Like, he's not on the field as often as MVS or like Justin Watson or Juju. But they're kind of slotting him into some of this McCole Hardman usage. Like, McCole Hardman, before he went down to injury, he had 5 touchdowns in 3 games, right? And he was doing some of the Jerick McKinnon touches, some of the, when they get in goal to go situations, he was becoming a player of interest. And they were doing a little bit of that with Kadarius Toney as well. He's also coming off a game with 4 targets, caught them all, 71 yards, looked really good, looked electric out there. So when Kadarius Toney is healthy, he's the sort of player that you slot in for fantasy. Like, maybe if you think you're an underdog and you need somebody who can just like break a big play and you're looking for upside and that's it. And you can live with the idea that the downside of a player is like 2 catches for 18 yards. But you want a home run threat. That's Kadarius Toney.
Tight ends. Anybody you would take a chance on?
The only guy I thought that really popped in week 17 was Trey McBride, and didn't see that coming because they haven't really been leaning on Trey McBride. He was, I thought, the best tight end in his draft class. I thought he was a really exciting rookie who just landed in a terrible spot behind Zach Ertz, right? And really with a team that hasn't overused its tight end historically. But he looked great, saw 10 targets, found the end zone. Excellent game from McBride, and he's a real talent too. And it sounded like from the broadcast that David Blau, the guy who was at quarterback for Arizona this past week, it's a different guy every week for them now, had actually been raving about Trey McBride throughout the week. So that was, his usage was planned, and they really like him, and he does seem like somebody who's probably gonna follow up a big week with another big game.
Who's the guy you want to stay away from? That might be a big name, and you would suggest to folks, yeah, I'm afraid of this matchup for this person. Might not play, might not give a lot. Maybe their season's kind of done. Who are you worried about?
Yeah, I'll just reiterate again that I'm a little bit worried about what the Giants and what the Bucks elect to do this coming week, because if they're playoff teams that can't improve their position, I know Brian Daboll said after the game that he would play all his guys. It just seems negligent and unwise to risk it with Saquon Barkley. Like, how? I mean, that would just be there's a huge guy. Yeah, there's a huge step down from Saquon to Matt Breida, and Matt Breida's fine, but you don't want to go into a playoff matchup the following week without all of your best weapons. So I'd be really nervous about particularly Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley making it through that game without getting pulled. It seems much more likely to me that they would each get like a couple series and then would get yanked. And then I wouldn't, it kind of all bets are off, I would think, for the Bucks. I don't know why the Bucks would roll out regulars. Although the one thing I will say there is that Tom Brady always played, like in New England, Tom Brady always played that final game of the season after they'd clinched everything they could clinch. I don't know if it was him, I don't know if it was Belichick, but they always chose to roll him out there with the regular offense and sort of stay in rhythm. So that is definitely a possibility as well.
All right, Miami, obviously going into this game, they will have the youngin, their third quarterback, Skylar Thompson, playing. How do you handle the Tyreek and Waddle situation with the third stringer, and the Jets have a good defense?
Yeah, it's rough because you can't. Well, Tyreek especially is the sort of player that you can't. There's no corner that can just like lock him up. He's too damn fast. He's strong. He's too fast. It's hard to do the things. You think about what the Packers were able to do to Justin Jefferson this week. They got really physical with him. I don't know. It's almost like you never see that stuff work with Tyreek, because at some point he can just run away from you. And he's also really strong and tough to jam. However, I would have liked to see Thompson go downfield a little bit more, right? Like all those targets to Raheem Mostert, all these short range things, all this work to Gesicki. that wasn't great. Like I like this offense, and I'm sure you guys do as well when it's looking downfield to Waddle and Tyreek. So I worry that's not going to be there to the same extent.
Lack of trust, I think. I don't think they
Yeah.
trust the two guys compared to how much they trust Tua to find. And I think there's also when you watch them play, like you immediately can tell that there's a difference between the way Tua sees it quickly compared to those guys. It's
Yeah.
almost like they need to almost read and react, whereas Tua has more anticipatory skills to his game. And so I think that they're obviously more comfortable with him, but Skyler has the ability. Where Skyler was at his best, if you noticed, I don't know if you were watching that game, why would you watch it? But when he started scrambling around and then buying some time, that's when, with all that speed out there, that's all of a sudden, look how Gesicki scored, dude, because they're actually using him now the last 2 weeks. That's the reason.
Unfortunately, nobody got to the fantasy playoffs with Mike Gesicki, and everybody got there with Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. And so like we need those guys. And they manufacture so many fun touches for Tyreek that I guess I worry a little bit less about him than I do about Jalen Waddle.
That's what I was going to ask you, because I almost feel like if you have another option, like some of the guys we talked about or somebody else that you've been benching, he almost might be a better option than Waddle. I can see Tyreek because they use him in so many different ways. You know what I mean? So he has ways of scoring. Hell, we saw him pick up a fumble this year and run it for a touchdown.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's just stupid. His talent is just so ridiculous. But I don't know if I would start Waddle this week, to be quite honest.
No, I think that's a much more valid call. I think the way that I'm gonna, and I haven't actually ranked for week 18 yet. It's such a chore to rank for week 18, right? Because it's only a handful of people that have to care about it, and it's the week is just rolled by chaos because so many teams bench so many guys. But I'm gonna still have Tyreek as like a fringe top 10 guy, but I think Waddle might be outside my top 20, which hasn't happened basically all season. It's been a really long time since I've had him outside the top 20, but I it's one of those situations where I just don't think that Thompson is going to support two startable fantasy wide receivers, and I would expect Waddle to be the odd man out.
I got to tell you something, not that you would use him, but I like Gesicki this week to pick up a touchdown for you. If you're in a touchdown league, young quarterbacks or rookie quarterbacks or whatever, running backs and tight ends are the safest throws. And
I've only made it through like about the first third of that game so far, but they were working Sherfield again too, right? Like
yeah. But you'll see Gesicki get in the mix, and I think he will get in the mix again this week and possibly maybe even for a touchdown. Now, again, not to use him this week. I would not use anybody except Tyreek on the Dolphins offense. I wouldn't even use Waddle. I unless you have no other choice. I mean, unless your backup receivers are not that good, then you've got to go with Waddle. But if you have a guy that's good and is going to get, like you just mentioned the Florida kid. What's
Toney,
the name?
Kadarius Toney. Yeah.
What would you use? Would you use Kadarius Toney or Jalen Waddle this week?
Oh man, well that's one where I would still want Waddle, because Waddle at least is on the field. Like the other thing with Kadarius Toney is that his snaps are going to be in the teens. It's just that they target him about a quarter of the time when he's actually on the field. I don't think I could pull the trigger there. There are some like I've routinely been, I have a league where I'd been benching, Juju Smith-Schuster for Waddle. I think I probably played Juju this week. Okay. I have a league where I've toggled back and forth between Keenan Allen and Jalen Waddle, and I'm sure that I would play Keenan Allen this week.
Yep. All right, what else you got going on in Sports Grill at Yahoo in our Sports Grill Fantasy Football Zone? What do you got going on Yahoo so folks can check you out?
Yeah, we will have Week 18 rankings live on Tuesday. I will have the final pickups column of the year also available on Tuesday morning, and we're continuing the podcast. It's the Yahoo Fantasy Football Forecast. About to record that in about 4 or 5 minutes here.
All right, and then in the next couple of weeks, we'll get you ready for the playoffs. So if there are playoffs fantasy for you, daily fantasy games that are going to go on throughout the playoffs, we will also keep you updated on that. And then moving on, We hope to cover the draft and all the additions and all that. So for you keeper and dynasty leagues, this segment will continue and we'll build up through the offseason. So we'll get into in depth into building fantasy rosters now throughout the offseason, which is something that normally is not done. But we will do that here. Yeah, and talk NFL draft, which of course everybody loves to talk, NFL draft. Andy, as always, Happy New Year, my friend. Thank you. May the big win be yours if you're in any Super Bowl. How many Super Bowls did you make it this year?
It was a bloodbath in the quarterfinals for me, but I made it to 3. It looks like I'm going to win 3. I just need Jamar Chase not to do anything freakish tonight. Like, he can have a great game, but he can't have like a great game. You know what I'm saying? So as long as he remains a little bit under control, I think I'm good there.
You don't want a 200-yard game is what you're saying.
Can't have it. We can't have it. We can't have 200 yards and 2 touchdowns.
There you go. All right, Andy. Good stuff as always, my brother. We'll catch up next week, my friend. Appreciate you.
Later, Big O.
You got it. Follow him on Twitter at Andy Behrens and catch his work there at Yahoo Fantasy. So the talk will kind of change next week. It'll gear more to daily fantasy, and then we'll start to, because obviously the playoffs is really more for daily fantasy than anything else. So any of you that play daily fantasy, or what's that other game that I play? What's that thing called? Underdog, right? They've got that stuff. You'll be able to. We'll give you some of the angles for that kind of stuff coming up, and then we'll carry you throughout the off season. Looking forward to it. I think this is the kind of segment that's going to keep growing and growing and growing, because fantasy players are going to find out this is a hardcore segment. And draft and NFL fans will kind of like it too, because there'll be a lot of NFL talk, involved. So it'll be a lot of more deeper football talk that we'll get into with Andy and Scott over the next couple of months, which will be a lot of fun. There you go. That's your Sports Grill Fantasy Football Zone.
You've been listening to the Sports Grill Fantasy Football Zone with Yahoo Sports' Andy Behrens. Go to sportsgrill.com to find a great location near you. Fantasy football fans, subscribe to the Big O Radio Show on YouTube and all other platforms to catch up with all our fantasy football insight, provided by Scott Pianowski and Andy Behrens.
I see coming across my headlines there. They're going to swear in George Santos. Isn't that an oxymoron? Anyway, if you want to reach out to us, you can reach out to us on Twitter at Big O Show, of course. And remember, you can also make a donation through Cash App or Venmo at Cash Big O Show. That is Cash Big O Show. And Trayvon Haddix, it's Haddix, right? I think it's Haddix. Trayvon Haddix is asking on Venmo, Cash Big O Show, what percentage of the blame goes to McDaniel for this season? I got to go with about 50%. Half the issues were because of him. Quarter of the issues definitely has to be Tua, because he can't stay healthy. And then you can break up the other quarter into all kinds of things going on with the team. Injuries, obviously, real big one. But man, I gotta lay it on McDaniel, and I've been pointing out for several weeks now some of the shortcomings for McDaniel, that is. But hey, young coach, I'm willing to be patient, and hopefully next year he'll do a better job and grow from all of this. But he's got a lot of room to grow. John Geeb, thank you for the love on the super chats. He says, I apologize. Oh, I'm sure you touched on this already, but I've been so down. I haven't been stopping in. How can a team that seems so real and so legit fall so far? Miami seemed like the real deal at 8-3. I'm just left baffled. We all are. The injuries mounted. Tua can't stay healthy. And ultimately, that's your problem there. The defense is so injury riddled, and then your head coach is very inconsistent in his play calling. he doesn't really have a good feel for the game at times. And his aggressive nature, I love. His cockiness, his arrogance in passing is a little too much. And hopefully he's been humbled. I'm not exactly sure, but I hope he is. And hopefully he changes some of his ways next year. And I hope he relies more on the running game. That's what I'm hoping for. Let's see. Big O, can you please shout out my dad and brother's birthday today? Well, Pachanga, give me a name, bro. Give me some names. You know what I mean, Pachanga? Give me what is your dad's name and what is your brother's name so I can say happy birthday to them. Am I supposed to say Pachanga's dad and brother, happy birthday, my man out there. Have a great day. Have a perfect day. You're awesome. Give me a name. I need a name, Pachanga. You know, it flows better with names. You know, you already got a shout out, but I want to do the shout out properly and give them some love. You mean he's very consistent with calling passes on running situations? Yes. 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 That's not good. That's not good, Eva. That's not nice. Eric Storm says, surprised the defense has not been better. They are only missing 6 starters and 14 players overall. I'm going to start educating your audience on the failed 1 and 2 picks that this guy made. And then we can turn around and talk about the success stories too at the same time. Just make sure you keep it real. You know what I mean? It's great to talk about that Eichenberg failed, but then remember they found Robert Jones to fill in. It's great to talk about that Austin Jackson was a failed pick, even though those two guys still have time to save their careers. But remember to mention Brandon Shell that they found in the middle of the season and did a very good job overall at right tackle. So those are the things you have to mention, you know. And so when Igbenogany fails, make sure you mention they found Nick Needham off the street and they found Kader Kohu off the street. And hopefully Trill Williams, who was showing you something, will come back and actually show you something. So they found that. So make sure that when you talk about some of the failed picks, you talk about some of the successful picks, and then talk about how they're able to find other guys off the street to kind of make up for it too. Because while Raekwon Davis doesn't excel, Zach Sealer does. So make sure you mention and you educate yourself too at the same time that you talk about some of the other players that are also helping out. Okay? And unfortunately, there's been a bunch of injuries. That's kind of hurt this team. But just make sure to be fair in the process. Okay? Because with the bad, there's some good too. Listen, in the end, the Tua selection is the one that is the selection that lifts you up or could bring you down if you're Chris Greer. It's your franchise quarterback, and that guy can't stay healthy. So that's really the issue right now. Everything else they've kind of overcome. Like I told you, Noah's been a waste, but shit, they find other guys off the street with no problem. You know, and don't forget that while they drafted Minka, he was forced to trade Minka and then went and got another safety. It's pretty good. I don't know if you've watched them backed out there playing for, some guy named Holland or something like that. So just make sure that you talk about the bad, plenty of it, and then there's plenty of good too, like Brandon Jones, unfortunately injured. That's all. Just make sure you do the right thing when you talk about the bad. make sure you follow up with the good at the same time. So listen, right now, none of you are going to be happy with Tua. None of you are going to be happy with Stephen Ross. None of you are going to be happy with Mike McDaniel. And none of you are going to be happy with Chris Greer. Who are we kidding? Who are we kidding? Who the hell is satisfied right now? Nobody. So if you all want him fired or traded away, I completely understand. Like I said, I'm not going to argue with you about Greer. I'm not going to argue with you about Ross. I'm not going to argue with you about Tua. I'm not going to argue with you about McDaniel. I'm going to tell you, I completely understand how you feel. That's all. We may not agree on everything here, but you have more than enough reason to be disappointed in everybody with the Miami Dolphins. Those are the facts. They're 8-8. They were 8-3. How in the hell are you supposed to be happy about anything going on? More power to you. So if you don't believe in Tua and you think he will never stay healthy, I'm not going to argue with you. If you don't think that Chris Greer is going to be a good GM, I'm not going to argue with you. It's a bad year, bro. A lot of things look bad. If you think Mike McDaniel's not the guy, I'm not going to argue with you. I'm not ready to give up on them, but I get it. I completely get it. It's fine. Edward Thurston, Big O, McDaniel's coaching style and his ego are going to lose him his job. Not running the ball enough, not playing Gesicki enough are examples. Yes, I totally agree, Edward Thurston. How? Totally agree with you, bro. You know? The real question, Edward Thurston, how? Ginger or Marianne? That's the real question, Edward Thurston, how? While you're on the island, yeah, we know you had Lovey there with you, but didn't you want to sneak off to the other side of the island with Ginger or Marianne? I personally was a Marianne guy. What can I tell you? That's the real question, Edward Thurston, how? I think the professor was having some fun with them behind the scenes. You know? I think the professor probably created a roofie on the island, because he could create anything on that island. So he probably had a roofie, dropped it into their coconuts. Not those, the one you drink. Get your minds out of the gutter. What's wrong with you? Jesus, some of you out there. Getting Marianne. Cap for Life wants both. Brett Dodger wants Marianne all day. Zachary wants Ginger. Dougie Fresh says, I'm taking Lovey. No work for this dude. Marianne had some great legs. Marianne was a total package, bro. Super cute. Great body. Jason Cordovas. Big O Greer started rebuild 3 years ago, then fired Flo last year. Now record the same as before, built 3 years ago. Enough said. Jason, I'm not going to argue with you, bro. Okay? You don't like Greer? After this season, I totally understand it. Okay? Sometimes I can stand up and argue with you guys, but after this season, I got no ammunition. Edward Thurston Howe chimes in with another super chat. He says, Marianne all day long. Nice. There you go. I like it. Brett says, I think the professor was slipping it to both. Why not? Right? Let's see. Luigi says Greer's number one pick in 18 was Minka Fitzpatrick. Good player, but his choice of coach didn't know how to play him. Amazing that Mike Tomlin knew how to play him and became a... No, it's not that they... No, Luigi. He knew how to play him, but he wanted him to do other things that he didn't want to do. That's what it was. So, he wanted to be more of a free safety, and then at times they wanted him to play some strong, and he wasn't interested in playing strong safety. So that was the issue. It wasn't that he didn't know how to play him. It's just that he was asking too much of him, asking him to do other things, like watching Caleb Martin. Well, here's your $20 million, but we want you to play power forward. Oh, wow. Okay. This might be my only big contract. That kind of stuff. Greer's attached to Tua at the hip. Now Greer might need to draft sign another QB, which might need to happen in 2024. Well, I just don't want him to detach too quickly from that hip because it might break if he is attached to the hip. Okay? And while they're trying to detach themselves from that hip, just don't clash heads because he might get a concussion. I think McDaniel needs to let the OC call plays and stick to head coaching. Too much on his plate as a play caller, too. Well, he hasn't proven anything as a head coach. So, no, I can't do that. I need to see him actually become a good play caller because I don't know yet if he can be I need him to do the stuff that he does know the right way before he can do the other job, to be quite honest. Because then how do you lead the OC, Frank Smith? All right. Lofi says, we rode the Tua paper plane really high, then came down and hit the ground, basically. Yeah. Pachanga says, Big O, Greer is 80% efficient out of his 100 he missed. Probably 2 dudes. But wait a minute. Did you send in the names? Did I miss it? Did Pachanga send in the names for his dad and his brother? I didn't see it. I was looking for it. Oh, there it is. A shout out to Alfonso and Louis, my dad and brothers. My dad and brother is Louis's birthday. Okay, so Alfonso and Louis. Alfonso and Louis, happy birthday, fellas. I hope you have a fantastic 2023. I hope you have the perfect birthday today. Have a beer. Give us a toast here on the show because we toast you, sir, and on your birthday. So enjoy that B-day with the family, man. All right? So there you go. Breezy305 says, I'm sick, Big O. You're sick of the Dolphins, or are you, like, literally sick? I got my daughter dealing with bronchitis. I got my wife coughing up a storm. She may have it. So it's amazing. But that's why I keep telling you all, protect yourselves with the little Nature B. Nature B. By the way, I found out I got her a bottle right away. She hadn't been taking it for a couple months. The Nature B. My daughter. Oh, I took it for granted. You've been taking it for years. Why do you stop taking it? So, anyway, what are you going to do, right? That's how life is. The youngins will learn the hard way. In fact, we all learn the hard way. And by the way, Nature B right now, order 2 months, get the 3rd month for free. That's right. You get 2 months, $66. We're going to give you the 3rd month for free and free shipping. So take advantage now. Go to natureb.com. We had a couple listeners that won a $100 prize pack from Nature B at the beginning of, was in December, actually. The beginning of December. It was around, I don't know, I think around December 5th or 7th or whatever. I'm not going to say the names, but you know who you are that won the prize packs. So go to Nature B, check it out. Lots of people are ordering Nature B. And where's my Manuka honey drops? They're right there, baby. And it's great for your throat. So if you have a sore throat, this stuff soothes. And that's the thing about Nature B. It's not just those 2 golden capsules every single day that boost your immune system. All right. Not only does it boost your immune system, it gives you great energy. It's great, it's stronger nails, fuller hair, great for your digestion, great for those creaky bones. Plant pollen, you can go, Google it, find out the benefits of plant pollen are amazing. And it's grown in clean, green New Zealand, not made in any kind of a laboratory. All right. It is straight out from Mother Nature. It's so good. You try to break up any capsule and drink the powder straight up, and it's nasty. Do it with Nature B. You're going to go, oh, wow, it doesn't taste bad. Why? Because it's all natural, baby, straight from Mother Nature. Go to natureb.com. Check it out. Go check out all the different products that they have out there, from the lip balm. My wife likes the wrinkle cream, by the way. I can't tell you anything about the wrinkle cream because I don't take the wrinkle cream, but she takes the wrinkle cream. She loves it. There's all kinds of great products. We told you there, you got a sore throat, you can do that. The soaps are to die for. I love the smell of those soaps. Okay. I mean, they are really, really good. But anyway, go check out all the great products and boost your immune system. It's great for the adults. It's great for the kids because it's all natural. You can't OD on it. You can take 30 of them. Can't OD on it. It's all natural plant pollen, baby. natureb.com. That's what it's all about. What else do we have going on in the world of sports? Geno Smith, I mentioned it in passing with Marcel, with Poupart, and I thought it was really cool to see Geno Smith giving Zach Wilson a hug yesterday after the game. He didn't play. Mike White played. And after hugging him, because he hugged everybody, he was hugging people, saying hi, some of the guys from the Jets, all that. But then when he saw Zach, he gave him a hug, and then you could tell that he was, talking in his ear. And obviously he was giving him words of encouragement because he's been there and done it. He was a failed Jets draft pick. Okay, so Geno has been in New York. He knows what it's like. And I think that's the best person that Zach Wilson can hear from. And by the way, that's great motivation for Zach Wilson. Okay, not that I give a shit about the Jets or Zach Wilson or anything like that. You know what I mean? But I just find Geno's story to be one of the best stories in the NFL. It's not that Geno turned into this great quarterback or anything, but after all these years of fighting the fight and trying to live your dream, he was able to go out and have a good season. A great season for him, by the way. Overall, solid season for anybody, but really good season for him after all that adversity that he's been through. And we have to admire anybody that is willing to continue to fight to keep that dream alive. And for him, maybe, Zach has got to be at the lowest point of his professional life right now. Okay. It's got to be the worst right now for him because he's getting roasted in New York. He can't go out in public, none of that stuff. So I thought that was really cool. If you haven't seen the video, you should go check out the video. I thought it was one of the classiest things I've ever seen, for another guy to go out of his way and help somebody else out. I thought that was awesome. By the way, we've got Mississippi State and Illinois going on right now. So that's cool. I will get to watch a little football when I get off the air. I like that. Not bad. Let me see if I can get you the scores while we're at it. At 1:00, we've got Tulane and USC. See if the Green Wave can actually get it done against USC. Both 11-2, by the way. USC is favored by 2.5 points. And then at 1:00, it's LSU and Purdue at Camping World Stadium. And at 5:00, the Rose Bowl. Number 11, Penn State taking on number 8, Utah. Right now, Mississippi and Illinois, Mississippi State, that is, and Illinois, they are scoreless. And there's 13 minutes left in the second. When sports and business collide, we like doing something called the KSDT CPA Sports Business report. Well, Mr. Cristiano Ronaldo is in the news. And boy, is he in the news. He is not only in the news, but he's also making some big news because he signed with a Saudi Arabian club. How crazy is that? Cristiano Ronaldo signs a 2-year, $200 million contract. There he is right there holding his jersey. He signs a 2-year contract with Al Nassr FC, Saudi Arabian soccer team, worth $200 million. And history is in the making. This is a signing that will not only inspire our club to achieve even greater success, but inspire our league and our nation and future generations, boys and girls, to be the best version of themselves. It was founded in 1955. Riyadh Al Nassr is one of the oldest soccer clubs in Saudi Arabia. The team, which has won 9 Saudi Premier League titles, is currently managed by Rudy Garcia, who previously managed top-flight European soccer clubs such as Roma, Lille, Olympique de Marseille. Ronaldo has been a free agent since his contract with Manchester United was terminated at the end of November. He was asked about an agreement with a Saudi club in a press conference after Portugal's 6-1 victory over Switzerland in World Cup. Ronaldo denied any involvement. Portugal lost 1-0 to Morocco in the quarterfinals and was eliminated from the tournament. So the 37-year-old player ranked third in Sportico's recent rankings of the world's highest-paid athletes, earning $115 million, including a whopping $55 million off the pitch from endorsements. He was the first athlete to pass a combined 500 million followers on social media platforms, including Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook in 2021. So Ronaldo signing with a Saudi Arabian club. Money, money, money. Money. What? Don't tip us. No, don't tip the Domino's people. No, not at all. Of course, you got to tip them. Anyway, so how about that? How about that? 2 years, $200 million. Wow. That's some cash, baby. Sean, you need a loan? Just call Cristiano Ronaldo, bro. Okay. I mean, what would he like to be a sponsor of our show? Just, we'll just put his face up and that's it. And he $200 million. That's crazy stuff. That is your KSDT CPA Sports Business Report.
This has been the KSDT Sports Business Report. KSDT CPA is one of South Florida's largest and one of the country's fastest growing accounting firms. KSDT is recognized by Forbes as one of the top tax and accounting firms for 2022. KSDT CPA is a full service firm that also excels in crypto. Visit online at ksdtcpa.com or call 305-670-3370.
All right. By the way, a little music. First of all, bad news in the world of music over the weekend. Anita Pointer, she passes away at the age of 74 from the Pointer Sisters. They won 3 Grammys, 13 top 20 U.S. hits between 73 and 85. Pointer Sisters were amazing. Great music from the Pointer Sisters. Fire, one of their hits, right? That was actually written by Bruce Springsteen. But I'm so excited. I mean, they have so many songs. And every time I hear I'm so excited, I just think of Summer Lovers. I always think of that movie, right? And so our thoughts and prayers, obviously, to the Pointer family with Anita Pointer passing away. I don't really listen to this band much. I don't know really anything much about them. Modest Mouse. but their drummer unfortunately passed away. He was young, by the way. While Anita got to 74, Jeremiah Green, the drummer for Modest Mouse, recently announced that he had cancer and he passed away at the age of 45. Damn, dude. You got a lot of life left to pass away at 45. The other one is April Wine singer guitarist Miles Goodwin is going to retire from touring. He is the last standing member of the original band. Okay? Of the originals. He's the voice. You know what I mean? So, I got to tell you, I got a personal April Wine story. I had tickets to see, I love April Wine, by the way. And for our friends in Canada, they're a Canadian band. And I was a big April Wine fan back in the 80s. So I saw them once in the 80s, but I had not seen them again since the 80s. And I had tickets for them 3 years ago in Las Vegas. You know what hit? The pandemic. So Bill and I, rest in peace, Bill. I miss you every damn day, dude. I got to tell you something. If any of you have had a best friend like I had for 40 years, somebody that you hung around with every day, all the time, going out everywhere, whatever, it is one of the most shattering things that can happen to your life. For me, it's rattled me a lot. Like, I don't talk a lot about it, but it's just one of those, because if I do, then I'm, as I've gotten older, I get more emotional. And so it just, it hurts. But Bill and I were set to go to Vegas, and we were set to go to Pearl Jam for 2 days in Oakland, then travel down for the week in Vegas, and I had tickets to go see April Wine. And then the pandemic hit, and the draft was canceled in Vegas. We didn't go to Vegas. We didn't go on that trip. Pearl Jam's concerts were canceled. All that's, it was just an outright, just an unmitigated disaster. And it would have been just we had tickets for, I had like another band that I was going to see that week too, besides Pearl Jam, April Wine. There was somebody else. It was going to be like legendary. Like it was awesome, man. And we were going to do the draft. And that was going to be really cool too. And then that went by the wayside. Now I see that he's going to retire, and I'm like, shit, man. I had my opportunity to see him one more time, and I can't see it. So apparently, his final concert will be March 2nd in Nova Scotia. Any listeners in Nova Scotia? I'm thinking maybe I should fly out to Nova Scotia. Is that a direct flight from South Florida? Seriously, I may just go out there just to go see him for his final time. That would be actually really cool. Do we have any listeners right now in Nova Scotia? Anybody when you're listening on the podcast? What a shame. Rage Against the Machine was in town in 2020, Big O. Yeah? Yep. I'm with you. I remember 2020 plans, says NorCal. Damn, that would have been great minus Pearl Jam. Yeah, I know you're not a Pearl Jam guy. But I was looking forward to 2 nights in Oakland. That would have been awesome, because no Pearl Jam concert is the same. So the next day, you're going to hear like 22, 25 songs different than you heard the night before. It's freaking awesome. I love it. Lofi says, Nova Scotia is where I was going, but the pandemic stopped it. Well, I might think of like going there just for that concert, fly in, fly back out. What is March 2nd, by the way? Right? Is it March 2nd? Yeah, March 2nd. What is March 2nd? What day of the week is March 2nd? It's a Thursday. Would be a good experience to go check it out. You can get direct flights to Halifax. Oh, I can. Oh, that's awesome. See, that makes it even more attractive to do something stupidly crazy and go see April Wine's final show. Apparently, the band's going to continue. They'll have a replacement singer. But, once you replace Miles Goodwin, you can't sing Just Between You and Me. Baby, I know our love will be. Once you take Miles out, it's just not the same. It's not the same. NorCal says Pearl Jam and Rage Against the Machine was the other show you wanted. Oh, it was against Rage? It was Rage? I forgot. I completely forgot. But I know there was somebody else. Oh, Johnny Marr and drummer Jeremiah Green played together on a Modest Mouse album. Oh, I did not know that. Johnny Marr's been everybody asked Johnny Marr to join them for a song or an album or whatever. I remember seeing Johnny Marr with the, and that was and that's the only time I've seen the, and I'm a huge the fan. I love that band. Johnson is a terrific front man. Got a great voice. Edward Thurston Howell says April Wine, I Like to Rock. It's a good song. Yes, it is. I Like to Rock is an excellent song. It's another good one from theirs. They're an under the radar rock band. April Wine, probably much big. I don't know. My Canadian friends would have to fill me in, but I would imagine they were much bigger in Canada. They got some love here, and I think mainly because of MTV. I think that's what it was, especially, Sign of the Gypsy Queen and Just Between You and Me. Those videos played like crazy. Telling Me Lies or I Like to Rock or some of those other ones. You rarely ever saw those videos. They do have videos for them, but Just Between You and Me and what was the other one I just said? Those two were like religiously played on MTV, and I think they got a lot of attention because of Sign of the Gypsy Queen and Just Between You and Me. Those two were all over the place, and that created, I think, a fan base for them down here. I know I learned of April Wine through MTV, and then I became an April Wine fan. So there you go. So if I got if we got one at least listener in Nova Scotia, March 2nd. My wife just said Halifax is an easy city to get around. The public transportation is very good. Really? So I don't even have to rent a car is what you're saying? That's awesome. Because, I'm just popping in, popping out. I'm not staying for days. I'll just pop in, go see the show, leave the next morning. I'm out of there. Go check it out. I'm serious. I might do something crazy like that. I'm gonna look to see what the plane tickets are and the concert ticket is, and then I gotta see if I can maybe convince a buddy of mine to go. I don't know if Greeper's watching, but Robert, I'm calling you soon. But anyway, yeah, that might be it. Laces out. Ross is the problem, says Jason Cordovas. He's stuck with Ireland too long, kept Greer. Don't forget his stupidity. Cost a first-round pick and a third-round pick. Ross is bad. Ayala's Obstacle says, Big O, Paul in Connecticut, I can't take it anymore. Dolphins need to draft a QB every year till they hit. They're so dumb at the QB position for 25 years not having open competition. It's tough, man. NorCal says, I have a friend in Nova Scotia. I'll message him. NorCal, you have friends in every country in the world. Everywhere. It doesn't matter. You're going to Africa, NorCal. Oh, I got a couple friends there. I'm going to Scotland. Oh, I've got some friends there. I'm going to Malaysia. I got plenty of friends there. NorCal has friends all over the world. NorCal is worldwide. You know, this guy, this pit bull guy, Mr. 305, he says he's Mr. Worldwide. Nah. You haven't met NorCal. That's Mr. Worldwide right there. Friends everywhere. That's because there's Dolphin fans everywhere, all over the world. All over the world, there are suffering Dolphin fans. Right? Pretty soon, we're going to have Sally Struthers, okay, come out and do it like, you know, a telethon. Let's help these Miami Dolphin fans. They've been suffering for decades. Please send in. They're lonely. They can't win. Do what you can. Please help. 1-800-LOSER-6. That's 1-800-LOSER-6. So, or loser 66, right? I guess for Larry Little, you need two numbers, right? Loser has 5. So there you go. 1-800-LOSER Larry Little. Well, no, let's not put Larry Little because he's undefeated. Let's put let's go with 17. No, because Waddle has it now. A number that's associated really badly in our memories. Let's go with 44. Paul Langford. 1-800-LOSER-44. Right there. That way, because you got to get it like easy to remember. You know, we don't want two different numbers. No. 44. Right there. Paul, in honor of Paul Langford being one of the worst cornerbacks in the NFL. Okay. I'd put Iggy, but he only has one number. Can't do that. But Iggy is right there with Jamar Fletcher, with Jerry Wilson. Yeah, baby. J.B. Brown, Bud Brown, Paul Langford. He's right up there. So we'll go with Paul Langford, 44. So 1-800-LOSER-44. Please help. I'm Sally Struthers, and our Dolphin fans are starving for W's. Let's feed them steaks instead. Okay. What Big O doesn't tell you, because Greer took Tua full well knowing his injury history instead of Herbert, created all the drama that caused Ross to tamper and lose the pick. That's on Greer. Of course it's on Greer. I've already said that. I've already talked about it, that the Tua stuff ain't looking good for Greer. The Bradley Chubb stuff ain't looking good for Greer. I get it, dude. I'm not defending anything like that. That's kind of what I've been saying since last night. I can't defend anything that goes on. I get those of you that want to fire Greer. I get those of you that want Ross to sell. I get those of you that want to fire Mike McDaniel. I get those of you that want to get rid of Tua. Totally understand. That anger is not misplaced. I'm not arguing at all. I have not argued that at all. The Herbert thing, I don't care about Herbert. That doesn't do anything for me. He's Jeff George, bro. I don't care what anybody tells me. He's a choker. And so, eventually got all the talent in the world. When I see him actually like come up big in big moments and things like that, then yeah. Wow. So the guy, Trevor Bickford, who attacked those New York police officers, and our prayers and thoughts are with all those New York police officers. And my thoughts in general are with the entire New York police force because of the crappy leadership above. I hate how we're treating some of our officers when we have great officers all over our country. We just got to weed out the bad ones, because there's bad in everything. But I think most officers are great people and great servers of our communities. But I don't know if you saw that machete maniac that attacked 3 guys. He attacked 3 officers. He cracked the skull of one with the machete. I mean, nasty, dude. Nasty. He has been charged with attempted murder. Yeah. It's crazy. JB burnt. That's it. Just burned Brown. Big O, is it just me, or when the Dolphins pay a player big money, they lay a big egg? Tyreek did not lay a big egg. Connor Williams did very good. Teron Armstead did a good job, did really good actually overall. He stayed in the game. He missed a couple of games. But yesterday, it's funny. Yesterday, they didn't lose because of him. Like when he missed the other games, remember, they were really bad. They weren't that bad this yesterday compared without him. Some have worked out, and then some, Bradley Chubb ain't working out. You're right about that. Byron Jones, that ain't working out. X, that ain't working out. But again, I kind of get what they did with that whole situation because they had to try to make a run this year. But yeah, no, there's definitely a few of those deals that have not worked out at all. Now, listen, the Bradley Chubb one, I'm not ready to give up on. It's been a bad start for the guy, but he's been a good player in the past. He's had some injuries. Let's see how he comes back next year. I'm not gonna pass judgment completely on the Bradley Chubb move till next year. He better bring it next year. Next year, he better be an absolute badass. He better be a werewolf. And if he's not, then I'm the first in line to say that was a terrible trade. Okay. Dougie Fresh says, I'm Sally Struthers. Finns fans have been going to bed hungry for a playoff win for 22 years. Please give. Starving. So we'll see. What else do we have? Big O, you get my super. Oh, did you get my super chat? I had to leave. I'm sure I read all of them. Dan B. I'm sure I read all of them, but if you can pull up, there it is. Happy New Year to you and the crew. Someone needs to be fired. I would start with the strength and conditioning coach. Your thoughts? Go get TCUs. Dude, I would rather you go get me some kind of witch or something to erase the spell of what's going on with the Dolphins. That's what I would rather. I think it's more bad luck than anything else. I don't think it has anything to do with trainers. Now, here's where trainers doesn't go, Dan B. What does Tua have to do with a trainer? He's always injured. What does Bradley Chubb have to do with a trainer? He's always injured. What does X have to do with the trainer? He's always injured. See what I mean? So some of these guys that are injured, X has had injuries all throughout his career. Why do you think I didn't want to give him a big contract? Why do you think I wanted to trade him nearly 2 years ago? Because it's always injury, off the field shit, or a contract. It's always something with X. So I can't blame the trainer because X has always had injuries. That's where we walk that fine line. Teron Armstead is an injury-prone player, has always been an injury-prone player. And he doesn't even practice much. Look at Eric Fisher, injury-prone. You bring him on board to be a backup, he gets injured. Teddy Bridgewater, injury-prone, got injured. I mean, these are, you bring a slight quarterback like Teddy, and just like Tua has to learn to get rid of the football, Teddy has to learn you don't tackle people, dude. Who the hell are you? You're rail thin. You're not. What's wrong with you? Marino was twice his size and didn't tackle one person ever. I don't want Dan Marino tackling. I don't want my quarterback tackling. Is it the Super Bowl? Is it, yeah, okay, I get it. Then, and the Super Bowl, you try anything and everything you got to do to win the damn game. But I don't want my quarterback tackling. So I can't blame the trainer for players that are injury prone. Okay? The Dolphins took the risk of Teron Armstead, took the risk of Tua, took the risk of keeping X on the roster, took the risk of who else was it that's injured? Needham is not injury prone, neither is Trill Williams. Byron Jones, I don't think was injury prone. He just got this injury. I know I'm missing somebody else. Hey, he didn't get injured. I think he missed a game this year, but Raheem Mostert, it's an injury-prone player you brought onto the roster. And you have to watch it because he was coming off a knee injury, and you have to pace him because you can't give him too much of a workload because he'll break down. So some of these guys, the Austin Jackson, what's a trainer have to do with a high ankle? Austin Jackson's not injury prone, but he had a high ankle injury. That can happen to any of us. It has nothing to do with trainer. So where I would tell you this has nothing to do with trainer. This has to do with the worst luck I have seen a Dolphins team have in a long, long time. That's really what it has to do with. And if you're the Dolphins, I suggest you stop taking Will Fuller, injury-prone players. Stop taking chances on guys that have injury history. Because history has a tendency of what? Repeating itself. So that would be my suggestion to everybody with the Miami Dolphins. Take less players that are injury-prone, please. Go select guys, go trade for guys, go sign guys that are more availability is one of their key traits. I think that's very important. But if you bring on Teron Armstead, don't be surprised he's injured. If you draft Tua, you can't be surprised he's injured. That was the only reason I would have stayed away from Tua in the draft, was the injury history. I said it then. I told everybody he can play. Playing's not a problem. This kid can play. His problem is he can't stay healthy. And he has proven everybody right that thought about his injury history. He proved all you people wrong that he can't play. That you're dead ass wrong. But if you questioned his injury history, you're the New England Patriots. You signed Devontae Parker. Did he play yesterday? No, he hasn't played in like 3 games. Why? Oh, because he's injured. And what is Devontae's problem? Oh, he's injury prone. At one point or another, you've got to stay away from these kind of players. I get it that you can take a chance or two every once in a while with guys, but you can't have too many of them. Because if you have too many of them, guess where they end up? On the injured list. Let's see. Son of a Liberty. Tua has the skills, not the durability. I believe damage sustained in that Texans game affected him in the 49ers-Chargers game. I don't know about that. I just think he played bad. I'm going to give the Niners credit because they're a great defense and they figured it out. And I'm going to give the Chargers a ton of credit because they got physical and they got in their face and they figured out a way to slow that thing down. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to give those teams and take away their credit. They outplayed Miami. They outcoached Miami. They outhustled Miami. I'm going to give the Chargers their due, and I'm going to give the Niners their due. The Buffalo game, Tua was awesome. That was coaching that effed up that game completely and some of the players who screwed up that game. Packers game, he was fantastic the first half, and then, the rest is history. So, I'm not going to do that. I'm not taking any credit away from the Niners and the Chargers. They beat the Miami Dolphins. They beat Mike McDaniel. They beat Tua. They beat Tyreek Hill. Okay? I'm going to give them The offense failed. In the San Fran game, Tua was number one. Wasn't even McDaniel in that one. It was all Tua in the San Fran game. San Fran game, Tua was completely off. Wow, that was bad. That was bad. Big O, Greer has a history of drafting and bringing free agents that are injury prone. Yes, that is something that they've done over the last couple of years, and I would be very critical of that. And I was just very critical of it. Yeah, you got to stop doing it. It's a mistake. And I get it. You're trying to, catch lightning in a bottle, and you hope that was just a phase that they went through. Fred Taylor went through that phase for a couple of years early on in his career. He had a lot of injuries, and then he figured things out and took off, dude, and had, the career that he was supposed to have. He's a stud. And so, these kind of things happen at times to players, and you hope you get them on the right side of it. So I get what they were trying to do, but you can't do it this many times because, as you can see, most of them will burn you. Rarely do they come back from it and they're no longer injury prone. The Fred Taylor stories are few and far between. That's really the issue here. All right, let me check here. Okay. All right, just want to check over at Cash App or Venmo. Appreciate all of you out there. As always, we thank Ira Winderman, Alan Poupart, Andy Behrens. We thank all of you for tuning in and keeping it locked here on the program. We thank, of course, Sean Stanley, who masters this entire platform for us. Thank you all for tuning in, sending in a super chat, Cash App or Venmo at Cash Big O Show. Support our great sponsors, please. We got some amazing sponsors out there, from Sports Grill to Hialeah Park to Acura Pembroke Pines to Sloman's Home Shield, helping Americans for over 100 years. 1-800-ALARM-ME. And by the way, for those of you in colder states out there, and we are in Connecticut, New Jersey, New York, Maryland, Virginia, Georgia, some of the colder states, if you are using heating oil, and maybe you want a better deal on that heating oil, please call 1-866-OIL-DEALS. Sloman's Home Shield, been warming up Americans for a long time. They've got fixed rates for you, so you can save hundreds in the long run. All you're going to do is call and ask. This is what I pay on average monthly and my usage. What would I pay with you? And all you're going to do is compare. Tell them that Big O Show sent you. 1-866-OIL-DEAL. Call our friends at Sloman's Home Shield. Save on your heating oil. And, of course, call a great company that is always looking out for Americans. Sloman's Home Shield. We'll see you guys tomorrow morning. Same time, same place, same bat channel. Have a great one.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O